let's see here. It says going live. It's always awkward because I'm never actually sure when it went live. So, hello everyone. My name is Jamie Higginbotham. I am the executive producer and creator of TMRO. You have not seen me around for a little while. I just kind of wanted, I had to come to the studio, perform some updates on systems, make sure that the studio is still working, because we are going to bring back live shows, and so it's important to me that everything remains in a functional state. Also, you never know, when I might need the studio at a moment's notice, and so it's important for me to keep, it all running. So running Mac OS updates. Hang on, I think I have. Where is that? That's here. So you can see on the screen on the left, the screen that's vertical instead of horizontal. That screen is actually the chat room for the talent who's out there, because we need it to be taller than wider, right? So we're running a Mac OS update on that. It's kind of hard to see in that picture, but there's a little Mac Mini that sits behind there. And then let me see if I can bring up any of these. I don't think I have. Oh, I do. Look at that. So you can actually see I'm running updates. So hi, I'm in this quadrant. So you can see, I need to update my multi-view too. You can see that I'm actually running an update on Mac 1.1, Mac 1. It's 3 screen outputs on Mac 1, and then on Mac 2, I'm going to log into, get rid of Zoom for a moment. And there are more updates that I need to apply. Yep, here we are. So we're going to let it do its thing. And that's going to take 1 unit of forever. So all of the Macintoshes will get up to date. The Windows computers just got up to date. I've actually got an Ubuntu system that just got up to date. So I use a little bit of everything everywhere. And then hi everyone. So let me see. It's been a little while, and I moved everything because we have a new board. So I don't have this up and running. So here you can actually see on. I'll just take it to air. This is the Casper CG. It's really low resolution. Wonder why. Excuse me. This is the Casper CG system. This is what drives the overlays. And so when you guys are saying things, and so when I push something to air, let me find something. This is a funny one. Challenge people that see us. So I hit, push this to air. That thing that pops up on the bottom, that DOS prompt in the middle, the command prompt in the middle, you can actually see it was sending the commands to that to actually generate that. And that's all done by Colton. But then we also use this system just in a Chrome browser. Oh, that is an old thumbnail of me. So there you go. And then I can actually push. What is happening? Here we go. I can push that to air, whatever I want. So, oops, that's not what I want either. It's so many buttons. So yeah, there you go. So I'm just kind of came in. I figured I'd do some updates. And while I'm here, test the live broadcast system. Make sure the audio is working. Make sure we can still broadcast to the world. And if I'm going to do that, why not make it public? Why not talk to you guys? There is so much stuff that has happened in space recently, so much stuff that I thought it'd be fun to just have a conversation. Just know that I'm going to be a little distracted as I bounce between system to system. But yeah, Colton says, Amga, you look great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's coming along. So this is coming along, getting there. Michael says the stream was great as expected the other day. I assume this is in regards to the Starlink flight that happened last week, which was I had been trying for so long to get this to go. It is the first time we had stage 1 and stage 2 telemetry on the screen at the same time. I cannot tell you First, I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to let everyone know that this was a thing that was coming. Because how exciting, how cool is that? I've known for a while, obviously been working on it for a long time. And I wanted to just tell everyone, be oh my God, it's coming. Because everyone's begging me for this feature forever, begging me for this feature. And I want to be I know. But I couldn't say anything, obviously. So it was really exciting to finally be able to bring that to air and actually have that. And then I'm nervous, right? Because, it's one thing doing it with test telemetry, but it's another thing doing it in production, right? So I tested it. I tested it a lot. I made sure it was all going to work. And it did. But you don't know what you don't know. And so as we, I know what the timeline sequence is because I built it, right, for the graphics. So I'm I know when things are going to occur. I know when automation's kicking in. And, the banner at the bottom says, SES1. And I'm okay, I have 7 seconds. In 7 seconds, everything's going to be amazing. or everything is going to be awful and I need to take the graphics off the screen. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I don't know how many people caught it, because when we lifted off at T-minus 3 seconds or so, it actually it's not quite done that way, but at T-minus 3 seconds, you'll see the telemetry markers on the left-hand side pop on, and they actually tell you what stage they're tracking, stage 2, stage 1, but it's really subtle. It's really subtle, and you have to like read it to realize what's happening. And there was no reason to think that we would show you stage 1 telemetry on the left-hand side. Why would we do it? We'd never done it before, other than like an NRO mission or some mission where we're not allowed to follow stage 2. But this is Starlink. You're allowed to follow stage 2, so why would... But I was waiting for someone to notice. I was waiting for someone to ping me and go, what you doing? And no one did. It wasn't until 7 seconds after SES1 where the internet lost their mind, and I did too. It was so amazing. It was so amazing. Kenji says, I think I've seen Tim Dodd use this system. So there you go. There's that. Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually known, well, this is the predecessor to something we call Cosmo, which is, it's a backronym. It's chat. Oh God, what does the backronym stand for? Hang on. I have it. I have the, hold up. Oh no, it's a video. Hang on. Chat and on-screen management system. No, wait. Operations. Chat and on-screen management operations. Cosmo. That's what the graphics system is called. This is made by basically one of the few people who's been with TMRO since quite literally before day one. It's Colton, and he built it for TMRO, and we thought it was stupid and selfish for us to keep it to ourselves, and so we've been giving it out for free to other entities that might want to use it. And it's, I think, a very powerful and amazing system. And in fact, he actually just pinged me live, but it's working. It's all working. So anyhow, yep, let me go back to this. Oh yeah, there's Colton. In fact, there you love the excitement. This is what I've been here all this time. Yeah, absolutely, right? Like, all of this is really cool stuff. I love the chat integration at the bottom. Like, and also like I can do the full screen stuff. I think that's what sets TMRO apart. I think that conversations are absolutely key. If I keep looking out there, it's because I'm trying to see the. Man, I'm tired, apparently. All of my technical director friends are going to give me endless crap for the bad punches I've been making. But you can see on the vertical screen how the update's not quite there. So I'm kind of waiting for that screen to go, and then I'm going to pop out on set, make sure that I can see stuff out there, and then I'll talk to you guys from out there. It'll be a little bit easier. Let's see here. Yeah, juggling lessons said, I noticed when the altitude started to drop, and then I realized there were 2 telemetries. Yeah, right? Oh, well, I mean... the nice thing is about that, the nice thing about how everything goes is I feel like the graphics enhance the launch and they don't take away from it. So the movements, there's a little bit of movement there. It's designed to like capture your eye but not distract you. So it's a little bit of like, hey, just so you know, something's happening. But if you don't want to look, that's okay. And so it's kind of like a little like, hey, stage separation. Well, I suppose it's Miko. Stage separation, SES1, and then it was a really quick little like, and by the way, here's stage 2 telemetry. And the really great thing about that is now it's oriented in the correct way, right? It goes to the double. I don't know if I have a double. Yeah, it goes to something that's similar to this, where you've got, you know, the stage 1 on the left side and stage 2 on the right-hand side. But then on the lower left-hand side, you end up with stage 1 telemetry, and on the lower right-hand side, you end up with stage 1 telemetry. No, lower left is stage 1 telemetry, lower right is stage 2 telemetry. So it matches what's going on the screen, which I think is nice. Yeah. Colton says, Cosmo is so freaking awesome. Yeah. Right, I agree. I'm really excited for Cosmo. I gotta figure out why that computer is so low resolution. Hugo says, is this person? Yes, this is person. I don't know what that means. Let's see here. Let's see here. Blake said, I don't understand this statement. Also note all the wiring that isn't seen behind all the equipment. I assume that's with regards to like this. So you can see, we'll wait for that lower third to pop off. But yeah, you can see some of it. Actually, there's, I will do my best to give you a tour as to how this all works. And by the way, so I have to walk away, let me do this. Try not to. I have to walk away from this room in order to do that. So I won't be able to see the chat room, which is right here. So I won't be able to bring you guys up on air. I will kind of be able to see the chat room. I'll put it up in my preview. So like, leave your comments and I'll get back to them in just a moment. But I'll give you a quick tour and run through of like how all of that works. So let me bring this up full screen. And then I need to bring, this is my TD computer. Okay, if I put that in preview, I can kind of see it. And someone said, hi, Jamie. It was, dang, it's here. Says, hi, Jamie. Daniel asked if the rest of the TMRO crew is still around. Kind of. Like, Jared is still producing Space News. And then, you know, he had a bunch of stuff happen in life, as everyone does. And so Ryan has been taking over and has been doing just an absolutely phenomenal job. So, yeah, like, we're still around. We're still doing stuff. But it's not the live shows. The live shows will come back, which is, of course, why I'm here right now, like, actually making all of this go. But not at this exact moment in time. I need a little bit more time for me, but as you can see, it's getting a lot closer. So we're getting there. All right, so let's see. I think it's that one. So we actually have wall plates. So I have cabling that goes into engineering, which you can't see, through the walls and down, and then it terminates as B and C. And then this is all 1694 cable, and we use purple cable because TMRO is purple. I actually use a different color cable at SpaceX. That way I can make sure that I never mix and match my cables, so I always know who owns what cable. And then that gets wound into, and there are two cables that go to every camera. One is an input and one is an output. And then those run over to like this guy right here, right? And you can see it going in and out of the camera, and then power. And so that's the only thing that goes to the camera. The cameras are actually pretty neat. They have the integrated screen. Let me turn this one on. So everything's kind of integrated. I call them, my giant face. I call them the iPad cameras, right? Because they're kind of like an iPad. If I were to take the hood off, it's a little bit like an iPad with a lens. If you look at it, give me a second here, you'll see it. You'll be like, oh yeah. It's like a really thick iPad with a lens, like an old iPad. All right. Ow. That was dumb, but there you go. So now you can see, like, that's the whole camera, right? So it's kind of like an iPad with a lens. And it's an MFT mount, which is not my favorite because there isn't, like, super great MFT glass out there. Like, there's not bad MFT glass, but, like, it's all photo glass. It's not really video glass. So it's hard to find, like, parfocal MFT glass or really, really fast glass, really clear glass. When these first came out, I really thought MFT was going to be it. Now I'm not so sure. But, you know, is what it is. Let's see what you guys have said. Let's see here. Maddie says, great to see you live again, Jamie. You're looking great. Thank you so much. Terrence says, most of the crew's news team. Yeah. Maddie says, sounds like Ryan will have more tomorrow for us soon. Yeah, I think so. JTTV says, wow, you look great. Jason Fence says, I don't like liars. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but okay. Jamie said the name that shall not be mentioned for Company X. I suppose. And William says, great to see you on air. Quite a transformation. Yeah, I got a little ways to go yet. So does this. So this has 3 minutes remaining. So we'll go back into the control room for now. Just kind of check on the other systems. Also, when is Blue gonna, like, I feel, so first off, here's a question for the group. Here's an aerospace question for the group. Well, did that get stuck on air? That got stuck on air. We'll just forcefully take it off. Oh, someone, sorry, it was pushed on air. It's all good, Colton. I thought I pushed it on air and then like, and then it got stuck. I know, every one of my TD friends, Darren's going to watch this and be like, what the hell? Yeah, it's fine. It's late. It's late. I'm like doing other stuff. I'm not here to direct, so is what it is. And then, yeah, like I got Mac 2 is getting pretty close, right? So infinite repeating. So we got 2 minutes left on that one. Neurostream says, you mentioned BNC connectors. I can't find it. Here we go. Do you find that copper is suits my need better than fiber? No. I find that it depends on what I need to do. So in the studio, I only need to go 20 meters, maybe? Yeah, 20 meters, 60 feet or so, from maybe a little bit longer, from the camera back to the engineering gear. Well, going a distance that short doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have two SFPs, two different lasers, a whole bunch of very fragile fiber optic cable to go a really short distance. It doesn't make sense. And I'm pushing 4K over that cable just fine, right? 2160p, and I think we're 24 frame, but whatever. Oops, I need to log into Mac 2 now. Here, I'll let you guys watch. Log into Mac 2. Okay, and let's make that go away. Cool, that's much easier. So this is some of the upgrades I'm running tonight. Just this. It's really hard to do through VNC. It's so laggy. I agree. I'm not sure what I just agreed to, but... there we go. So there's that, and then I need to get out of this and back to this. Oh, Max said, yeah, so actually this is a good point. Blue just launched last week, so I wanted to talk about Blue, because it feels like Blue and Virgin Galactic are neck and neck when it comes to flying humans, paying passengers to space, because technically speaking, Virgin Galactic has flown humans, and Blue has not, right? Blue has flown Mannequin Skywalker, but they've not actually flown actual meatbags into space. Whereas Virgin Galactic, they have their pilot and co-pilot, and then they recently flew their, the other system is coming up. So we'll head back out here. Boop. You have to make the noise or it doesn't work. So let's see how painful this ends up being. Okay. It's sideways. So now I need to go into the system preference and tell it stop being sideways. Oh, it's hard to do. Don't be sideways. System preferences. Displays. This is really difficult to do. Okay. Rotation. I want... Is that what I want? No, because that's just going to make it move this way. I wanted 180? I don't remember how many I need to go. Is it just 90? No, because 90 makes it upside down. So I need... No, that makes it that way. Is it just 90? Oh, I guess it is just... But if it's going that way... Oh no, it is going that way. I wish they would tell you which way they're rotating the screen, left or right. Right? Like, that it makes a difference, because otherwise I'm trying to figure out how many degrees I need to rotate the screen, and I can't. Anyhow, should have been able to figure that out with the last one. Okay, sweet. So this is up, and now I need to open up you. Let's see if Google needs an update. Let's see if there are more updates, it looks like. I know, fascinating stuff. You guys watching me update Mac OS. Oh, this is just an Apple ID issue. We've detected you're not giving us enough money. All right, chat. Boop. I believe in you. And the nice thing is once oh, you have been kind of able to see what I'm doing. Once I get this going, I should be able to, boop. Cool. Yeah, there we go. Michael Biggs, as if there was a chance it would not need an update. I know, right? All right. It's fine there. And you can kind of see, I can aperture down a little bit, but you can kind of see like how big this is. So when you're sitting in the chair, you can actually just kind of read all of this. Just turn the monitor. That's funny. You can read the entire screen. Let me bring that down a little bit so you actually get an idea as to like what that all looks like our interface to life. Oh, that was my knee. That was Neasels. All right, camera 1. We'll bring this. Oh, wow. There you go. Right? So it's a little bit easier. I see me. Right? A little bit easier to see the screen and like everything else when I do it that way. All right, so Mac 1. If we go over to Mac 1. Well, hang on. Give me a minute. I'm gonna enter that in first. Okay. Let's see here. Nope. We don't like, because we need anyone to be able to. I know. It's super insecure. The world is ending. Nope. I don't want you to do any of this. Turn it all off. All right. And Zoom kicked in. Okay, we'll close out of that. All right, great. Looks like this system is, oops, I forgot that I can't do that on this keyboard. This system's good to go. So I got one Mac. Well, I got 2 Macs down now, right? Let's see here. I can probably go to this camera. And do I have an iPad here? I feel like I should. Sorry, everyone. Give me a minute while I search the studio for an iPad. If I can find an iPad, I'll just use that to... I do have a coffee. You can probably hear me drinking. Sorry. Oh, let's try this one. This one probably has power. It's not really designed for this, but who cares? Ooh, software update's complete. Don't do this. Don't use it. Like, everything's getting updated. Everything needs an update. All right. Did I remember to switch the camera? Nope. Okay. All right. So you can kind of see how everything's coming back together. Hopefully we won't be off for too much longer with regards to live shows. Get some bubbly. Let's see here. No, don't use a passcode. I know, it's super insecure. That's fine. Don't upgrade account. I don't want two-factor. Don't share. Turn it all off. Turn it all off. Thank you. All right. Chat.tmro.tv. Okay. And then, hey Colton, since you're around, I'm going to register as a new account, if that's okay. This I'm going to try. Key clicks are still on. That's annoying. Be right back. All right. Well, I never got the email confirmation, but it's fine. Okay, I'll get back into the. Thank you for the upgrade, Colton. We'll get rid of the user list. Am I in there? Yeah, I'm in op. Awesome. And then let me size this up a little bit. Whoa! This is very touchy. There we go. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Colton says it's actually super nice to see the studio again. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to take a minute. Colton says that's going to fail. Well, all right, thank you. Okay. Hi, Vax. How's it going? So, yeah, just around because I needed to maintain the studio. I figured pop on in, like doing a test, making sure everything stays live. Daniel, okay, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Cleavage, okay, I guess we'll get used to that, yeah. You can, like, I have them, so, I mean, what'd you expect? I was pretty upfront and clear with the community. It's also why we haven't been live, to be honest. It's fundamentally my fault. I just haven't been super comfortable on camera. Not super happy with where my voice was. I'm not really happy with where my voice is right now. It's a lot better. Like, even if you go back to the last few times I was live, like, you can hear an improvement, but it's still not right. There's certain words that are still wrong. It's not right. It's not bad, but it's not right, you know? You are not wrong. And hips, also correct. So, you know, I did a couple surgeries since you saw me last. Face is one of the surgeries. I won't necessarily go into the details as to what they did there, but like it was a lot of work, a lot that they did in the face. And then they did this section, the whole thing. So obviously, this is pretty obvious what they did. But then they also did some body sculpting in here, and they took the fat out of this area and then around the back to kind of give me a nice shape. And then they took that fat back out and threw it into my hips to give me some nice hips. So, and then Ivor, I apologize, I don't know how to say your name. Daughter starting her transition. It's so humbling. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, anyhow, thank you very much. I'd really like, to be blunt, I'll talk about it a little bit because it's why we haven't had live shows is my transition. But because I'm not comfortable on camera, I'm not comfortable with my voice, getting better. I've got one more surgery. Nope, I have two more surgeries. I have one on February 16th where they're going to do hair transplants. They're going to move hair from the back, kind of fill in some of the area up in here and cover some of the scars that were left by facial feminization surgery, which would be nice. They're actually going to bring it fairly far forward and then give me a little bit of a widow's peak so I have kind of a heart shape on my face, which I think will look nice. That surgery is one of the few where they do the surgery and then like you don't get to see the results right away because it's hair, right? And so you have to wait for the hair to grow, and hair grows at normal hair growth rate. And so it's going to take quite literally years for that to get to like this length. It'll take about 2 years for it to get to this length. But I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait 2 years, but we are going to wait until after that surgery. It's going to create some swelling and some not so greatness in my face area. And then that will be the last surgery that's like forward facing. There's one final surgery after that that will happen at the end of this year. You all won't be able to see or tell, frankly. I will see and tell. But that one is going to take me out of commission for a while. So what I'm trying to decide is, do I bring back the live shows shortly after the hair surgery to the point where like I don't look like a bloody mess anymore, right? Where I look fairly normal, but with like weird bumps up here. And then just do them probably every Friday instead of Saturday. I think we're going to move the show time a little bit just to work a little bit better with my day job schedule. Or do I wait into... So the advantage of that is we get live shows back like March, April timeframe, probably closer to April realistically. And you get them back for like 5-6 months. But then you're going to lose them again for probably a couple of months. And I feel like coming back and then leaving again for an extended amount of time is damaging. And I realize that not having the shows at all right now is also damaging, but I'm trying to decide which is more damaging, coming back and then having another extended outage, or just extending it, waiting for the right timing, and then bringing them back. And I appreciate it. Like, you all have been absolutely incredible. Juggling lessons. Please live shows as soon as you can. You are motivated. I miss you and Carrie Ann. Well, I've been motivated for a while. I love doing live shows. I love interacting with everyone. Like, this is just so much fun. Yeah. Colton says, for sure, come back for the small time, but like, yeah, that's the other funny thing. So NASA, like, I created a large gaping hole in the industry. Like, TMRO used to effectively own this space, right? And it's all my fault. I'm not going to point my finger anywhere else. We had live shows. We had an interactive community. We had a bunch of nerds talking about space. We've been doing this for over 10 years at this point. We were every Saturday. We were really reliable. You knew where to go. We never really had a whole lot of growth. That's also my fault. I allowed the shows to become more almost corporate, less conversational, less nerdy. Like, it was all about process and procedure and scripts and whatnot. And it wasn't so much about like this conversation with you, the unscripted human moments. And I allowed the unscripted human moments to go away. And because of that, we never really saw the growth of Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Arguably, NASA Spaceflight does a really good job, but I think a lot of their growth comes from access to Starship that you can't really get anywhere else, specifically through Boca Chica Gal. I mean, if we're being honest, right? Like, that stuff is incredible. And, like, that's where they really dug their teeth into YouTube. And then they rightfully, correctly created a weekly show, which I offered to help them. Like, I don't feel like I compete with any of these people. We all work to do the same thing, which is to get humanity excited about space. And then I think the really great example of like someone really taking it and really being personable on camera, really understanding the market, and really just doing a deep dive, fantastic job is Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. He absolutely destroys us from a content standpoint in a really positive, great way. And like, again, that's on me. Like, I just didn't have the time to make that happen. I still won't. But he does, and he does such a great job. And a lot of people point at Tim Dodd and go like, look at his incredible viewership. You guys never had that viewership. You've been doing this for 10 years. Why don't you have a lot more viewership? You know, it's because I haven't had the time to be able to do it because, my day job takes a lot away from being able to do all of this. And so then I wasn't able to maintain like what is necessary on the show to create a conversational tone. And it had a negative impact on the show. And it's still going to in the future. Like, pretending like it's just going to magically go away is not fair. But at the same time, like, we're all just space nerds and I do this because I love it. And so if you don't enjoy the show, that's okay. Like, I do it because I love it. And like, if you like someone else better, go watch them. Like, I no hurt feelings from me. Anyhow. Olivia asks, is it about capacity? Tim Dodd does do this full time. A little bit. So, and a little bit not. So there's a special something on camera that's really hard to pinpoint. A special ability to interact with the camera that's very personable and social and makes it feel like you, the viewer, are listened to and you're engaged with and your voice is heard. And I have found not a lot of people have that. I believe Tim Dodd is far better than I am or anyone at TMRO at that specific element. When you watch a Tim Dodd stream, you're excited for him and with him, and he makes you excited. And like, how do I want to word this? You create his excitement, and then he feeds off of your excitement. So it's this loop that he creates that's absolutely incredible. So yeah, stop it. So it's definitely talent, more than anything else. But in addition to talent, you have to have time. Arguably, anyone can do something that a talented or a gifted person can do. It just takes them longer to get there, right? And so Tim is very talented in this. He's exceedingly smart. He knows his stuff. he like gets it. He understands his community. He understands how to convey it in an exciting way. And he has a deep, deep understanding of the information, and he's excited. And he conveys all of that on camera brilliantly and in a very social way. He deserves every single thing, every single incredible thing that has been happening. He's earned it. But he also has time. And he took a big risk to do that, right? He left his day job to make this all happen. And it paid off, but it may not have. I have not left my day job. Now, to be fair, arguably my day job is more important than tomorrow. At least, and that's not to say that I don't appreciate everyone here, but like, what I'm doing at Company X is just bigger than this. And it just is. So, oh yeah, hold up. Trey J, I think I said that correct, says there's room enough for both of you. Look, there's room enough for far more than just the two of us. NASA Spaceflight's another example. Tim Dodd, I'm hoping that more people come up because each one of us brings a unique viewpoint, a unique aspect to the live stream. And yeah, there are going to be people who just are not okay with who I am and what the transition that I've gone through. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to see it. They're not okay with it. That's fine. There are other people that this is going to inspire them, and they're going to come partly because of this. That's also fine. We all each serve the market in a different way. There's plenty of space for everyone. That goes with the aerospace companies too. There's plenty of space for SpaceX. There's plenty of space for Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, Rocket Lab. You know, pick them. Pick one. Let's see here. Abby says, I love what you do for the SpaceX streams. Could we get some info on the workflow for the streams, especially the impromptu Starship ones? Unfortunately, no. I can tell you anything you ever wanted to know about the workflow here and how TMRO studios work and how we used to do live launch coverage. Keep in mind, a lot of what you see at Company X originated at Space Vidcast, which is the predecessor to TMRO. So if you want to see what the future of launches were, you just need to look back at what I used to do 10, 15 years ago, right? Is you can actually see what I did before working at SpaceX being pulled into SpaceX, morphed and tweaked into something new and different, and you can see it evolving every time. Just this year alone, I've updated this. Ooh, did I just lose? Hold on. I don't know where it went. There we go. Just this year alone, we deployed a new timeline that automatically scales. We've deployed brand new audio at the launch pad. Well, actually, it's not at the launch pad. That wouldn't work. Outside of the launch pad. For it always annoyed me that we didn't get really great rocket rumble sounds in the webcast, right? Like the rocket lifts off, and if you're ever there in person, like you can hear the rocket for a good minute. It's just rumbling and crackling and just like opening up the sky. And I'm like, why can't we capture this? And you know, part of it is like you can do it if you're willing to drag infrastructure out every single time, but the launch cadence is so crazy that like it was so inefficient. We needed to find a way that we could have permanent infrastructure that wouldn't require humans to touch, but still, even in really windy days, would pick up the large dynamic range of the rocket launch from like for a minute, which meant we had like it was a minor challenge, it was a minor challenge, right? Not very difficult, but like still a little bit of difficulty there. And we deployed a new microphone system that, like if you listen to this last launch, I think is phenomenal. Like you can really hear it, and you can hear it for a while. You can hear it for a while. That only applies to the Cape right now. It doesn't apply anywhere else. But like, yeah. William says the last launch of Starships was pretty good. Yeah, that's because it's a new system. So we deployed the new timeline. We deployed that. We deployed the new telemetry system, right? And this is just in 2021. Keep in mind. We're barely 2 months into 2021, and these are the updates we've done just this year. And I've got more stuff on the way. Actually, I worked over my birthday. Last week was my birthday, and I worked the entire weekend, day and night, on updates that I cannot tell you about, that you will see. But it was behind the scenes stuff that needed to be done just then because I had a break in launch, and this was a pretty major behind the scenes, like, core systems change that needed to be done. So yeah. I have a name. So microphones are easier than drone ship cameras. Yeah, I cannot tell you. Yeah. JTTV, if and when will Starship get a commentator? Last Starship flight, SN9 had a commentator, John Innsbrucker. I did that. I cheated that. Like, I didn't do a full deployment of that, and you can tell. I feel like John's audio is very shallow and tinny, and so I need to fix that. And then I overdrove the microphone, the pad mics. It was difficult because I run those alone. I'm the only one that runs those from a technical standpoint. And so there's a lot for me to do, and I didn't do it all correctly. So, but they're tests, right? Yeah. Anyhow. Mike says, I think I understand this statement. Yeah, I don't think there's any way you can do with him. I think it's what you can do what he does on a full-time basis. He has no other job, and my studio is much nicer. Yeah. So, just set that expectation that Tim Dodd is going to have the time to do remarkable things and do these deep dive. I cannot tell you how much time a 1-hour deep dive video takes just in the research alone, and then finding the media and building the thing. I don't think people respect, well, and maybe a lot of you do, but I don't think people respect exactly how much time those things actually take to build. It's crazy. There's no way I can do that. I do have the time to bring back live shows. And I'm excited for the live show format because it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be based on kind of what we did for Yuri's Night. So we'll have some people here in studio. And in a COVID world, just like one person. But after COVID, we might have 2 people. So there'll be like 2 regular hosts and then 2 guest hosts every week. And every week it's going to be effectively a round table. And so those 2 regular hosts will be able to kind of like guide the conversation. And I will be one of the regular hosts. Every week I will be back on camera. And then the other regular host, like we might actually ironically rotate through other regular hosts. But then we'll also have just 2 guest hosts that will be able to talk about whatever. And it won't necessarily be an interview with the guest hosts, but it will be like a fun, interesting conversation about space. Some of those guest hosts might be famous people that you know that run aerospace companies. Some of them could be you from the community just because your voice is important too. And so I think it's going to be a really fun and dynamic way to do a live show. And I don't think we're going to limit them to 1 hour anymore. I think we're going to let the show just kind of be the show. We've got the news program that's about 10 minutes. We'll let the news program be about 10 minutes or so, like 10, 15, whatever it needs to be. And then the live show will just be what it needs to be. I also would like to incorporate drinking. I've always thought that our live shows should be a bunch of space nerds out talking about geeking out over space over a beer. And so I'm literally going to be drinking. Well, I don't like beer, but we're going to do it probably Friday nights. And since it's nighttime, let's bring in that Soma bar. Let's have alcohol. Let's have fun, right? Let's all drink together, and then everyone can say what they're drinking that night. And then we can make it part of the show and part of the experience. It doesn't need to be very polished. Arguably, it shouldn't be. I think, I love the set that Data built. I think this is incredible. This is the polish that we need. We, on the other hand, we could be drunken fools. Yeah, it's going to be great. Oh yeah, it's going to be so much fun. And I want you guys to be drinking too, if that's something you want to do. If you don't want to drink alcohol, that's cool too, but have something fun to drink, and then let us know what it is. Oh, the other thing that I think would be really fun is you all get to drink whatever you want to drink, but then I don't get to. The community decides what I'm going to drink. And I don't know how to execute on that yet, but whatever it is you want me to drink, and I know that you're all going to torture me, which is part of the fun, right? I think that would be great. Robert says, I would also love for Space News to be longer if it needs to be. I think that'd be great. I wouldn't complain. We kind of, again, it's a time thing, right? So everyone at TMRO has a day job. Jared has a day job. Ryan has school. I definitely have a day job. I have a crazy day job. Everyone has a day job. And so we don't have a lot of time to how do I want to say this? The segments we are going to build, like the 2-3 minute segments, we want to make sure are 3 minutes of dense, amazing information. And I would prefer have a 3-minute show that is dense and amazing with information than a 10-minute show that's filled with a bunch of fluff and crap. You know what I mean? So, like, that's kind of the focus, is making sure that it's not about length. It's about amazing content, and the show will be however long it needs to be. We target 10 minutes, but if it needs to go for 25 minutes, then it goes for 25 minutes. We target 10 minutes, but if it's only 4 minutes, then it's only 4 minutes. That's how that goes. That's the rule for news. That will be the rule for live shows too. There's no length limit, right? We'll let the content dictate the length. Max says, way ahead of you, Maker's on the rocks in the hot tub as we speak. Oh my God, I would love a hot tub so much. So much. Yeah, Olivia, exactly. Content is better than length. We let the content dictate the length. Sometimes it goes long, sometimes it doesn't, and you'll notice that our news shows are all over the board with regards to time, and our live shows were kind of all over, and that was another mistake I made, is I really tried to target 1 hour, because I was trying to fit it inside the YouTube algorithm. And forgive my language, but fuck the YouTube algorithm. I don't care anymore. Look, if we get 1 million viewers, awesome. If we get 10 viewers, awesome. It doesn't matter to me. You know what matters to me? Having fun and talking space. That's what we're going to do. And if other people don't like it, fine. That's fine. They don't have to like it. They can go watch Tim Dodd. They can go watch NASA Spaceflight. We are no longer the only entity out here. You have choices now. Go somewhere else. I'm not, like, go have fun. Go enjoy space. And if we're not your shtick, that's fine. But if I'm going to do this on my nights off, like, I'm going to do this outside of work, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to have a little bit to drink. I'm going to smile with you. I'm going to laugh with you. That's how this is going to be. That's what I think. Okay. John, that's a fun idea. Make it 8 to 9 minutes, just like a Falcon 9 launch. That would be kind of fun to time the news with, like, up to Seco 1, right? From liftoff to Seco 1. What would also be fun, I don't know how to implement this, but, like, making the news kind of like each news segment is like, you know how you have the timeline at the bottom of the screen, like covering the major events? So as we're moving through news, like the next news story becomes like, that's Max Q. And then the story after that is Miko. And the story after that is SES1, which would, between Miko and SES1 would be like a 10-second story, but whatever. I don't know. I don't know how that would actually work, but it sounds fun. What is that? Powell? I think it was Powell. I can't pronounce your last name. Powell? Powell? I just joined, no idea what it's about, but I'm always up for a drink. Absolutely, right? Like, we all work. Well, with COVID, maybe not. Sorry, but like, we all have lives, right? We're all space nerds at our core, right? That's why we're here, to geek out over space. And if that's the case, then like, let's just have fun. Let's just have fun. Dan says the rants are back. They never left. I've always had my my soapbox now just is more glittery now than it was before. Daniel Jackson asks, what happened to this serial number 9 engine camera feed? I don't know. Like, I'm not. I don't know. Even if I did know, I couldn't talk about it. But you saw what I saw, right? It went to air, lost the feed, but the rocket was still going. And I'm like, well, I don't want to show nothing, right? That looks stupid. So I took it off the air. Then we're like, oh, we have it back. I brought it back. You saw it freeze again, just like I did. And I'm like, nope. Okay, I'm done. So yeah, I then at that point, I was just like, what views can I show you that are amazing? And I just went to the best views that I thought I could find. I really wanted to stage, it was very, very important to me that I got on a specific camera for landing, which I did. But it's not as easy as just like going to that camera. Because when you're doing live switching, you don't want to do, there are two things you really don't want to do. First, you don't want to cross the 180. What that means is, imagine a sports arena, right? It's a 360-degree sports arena. When you're watching sports, all of the cameras in the arena are on one side, pointing one direction. And the reason for that is if they came from the other direction, when they cut from this camera, you're running this way, but when they cut to this camera on the screen, you're running the opposite direction on screen, and it looks weird. And so with Aerospace, I try not to cross the 180 either. So when the rocket is going this way, we're going to have tracking cameras that show it going this way, because that's how this all works, right? Someone's making a lot of noise with their car, and it's very annoying. Anyhow, so part A, I try not to cross the 180. And part B, if you've got a shot that's this big and it's in the middle of the screen, you don't want to go to another shot that's like this, that's about as big in the middle of the screen. It looks funny. You need an intermediate shot. So you need to go from like a large shot or, this kind of shot to like maybe a smaller shot or a really close-up shot. But you need to have a variance in between the two. And so you want to make sure you don't do either of those things. You want to make sure that you have a variance while also not crossing the 180, if possible. So I needed to find a way to get off the camera I was on now, but over to the landing camera, which unfortunately did both of those things. It crossed the 180 and it was like the same tightness of shot. And so it took a minute to like figure out how to get there, but I got there. Actually, it wasn't me that figured out how to get there, which was really cool. It was really nice actually to have a little bit of someone yell out like, go to this camera and then you can go to the other one. I'm like, actually, yeah, because I didn't see it in the moment. Did that, got to that landing camera, loved, like, it came down, right, it's swooping in, you see the engine light, you see the other engine not light, and I'm like, we gotta go wide. Like, I want to show you what happens, because we all know what's gonna happen. And so I went really wide, and I went to the only really wide camera I had that would be able to see it. It was a little bit too wide, I think. But it's all I had. And I thought it was great. Yeah, so not crossing okay, so this is a thing that I think sets Company X apart from everyone else. There are so many little details and things like that, like making sure that we don't cross the 180, making sure that we don't cut from same to same shot. But then also, like, we're very particular about our color on our cameras, on our live cameras. And I have the ability to remote paint the color on every single camera, almost every single camera. And so, like, and you can tell the ones that I can't because they don't look the same. So there's this nice, like, almost cinematic quality to the SpaceX feeds. They just pop more than literally everyone else, right? And that's because it's those little details that we look on every single launch. And they're a pain in the butt, because you got to do them every launch. But those little details make all of the difference. Crossing the 180, this is hilarious. Crossing the 180 is a $200 fine. The thing is, like, here, now that you know that, you can watch a webcast and you'll know if we don't have any options. Like, there are times when you do not have a choice in aerospace. You have to cross the 180 because you're losing your current tracking camera. You have literally no other shots to go to except for one that's crossing the 180. So the rocket goes from here and all of a sudden it's pointing the other direction. And we all groan when we need to do it. But sometimes you just have to. And so now you know, if you ever watch a webcast and that happens, collectively the entire control room was groaning when in that moment of like, ugh, yep. Let's see here. Robert's asking, effectively how much I work with the Starship team. Is it just me working on it, or do I have any help? It's interesting. So until recently, I was the only video engineer company-wide. Now, we did have other people that worked on video, but nothing like in my particular role. And they've added one other person to my team, which is very badly needed. And then with regards to Starship, I coordinate with those teams, and I'm in constant communication with them. But they have kind of their own people that work on that stuff, which is good because I am drowning in other work. But they're, they match infrastructure for the other stuff that we've done, company-wide, and or where it's necessary or where it makes sense. We don't match infrastructure. We do something new and better, right? Because it's Starship. It should be new and better. Everything should be better on Starship, right? It's next gen. That's how it needs to be. And so, that's kind of the approach that we take, is it's all next gen. Let's see here. Yeah, always. I'm the one always bashed for extreme attention to detail. Feels good to be among like-minded people. Yeah, these details matter. There are reasons, and I can't really go into them, but there are reasons behind most every decision. Now, sometimes in the moment, right? Like you're doing live stuff, and you have to make split-second decisions that are very complicated sometimes. And you don't always make the right decision, but you kind of have to commit to it, right? Otherwise, it looks like a mistake. So as long as it doesn't look like a mistake, you're good. Yeah, so there's that. But I think that's what makes SpaceX webcasts stand out from literally everyone else's, is that attention to detail and little things like split-second decision timing elements on the graphics. Like, when things happen in the graphics, which seems subtle and like no-brainer, there's a lot of time that went into how does it feel when we do it this way? How does it feel when we do it this way? How does it feel when we do it this way? We're talking like tenths of a second changes to like when the telemetry comes on, when the telemetry comes back off. When we were looking at like the last launch, we didn't have all of the data. So the telemetry kind of came on in the right time, but it didn't go back off at the right time. And so you're going to see those numbers played with over the next few launches until we really feel like that's honed in the approximate time after, I suppose it'd be after Seco 1. But it's a little bit weird because it's like not only after Seco 1, it's also after landing. Like, when do these things need, because you don't want the graph to take away from landing. So like, what makes sense? And you have to really think about all of these things. How long until you get a primetime Emmy for technical direction camera work at Company X? I have multiple Emmys. Thank you very much. One of them for the work at Company X. I think that was DM1. Is what that was for. Best interactive program, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, Robert, I totally agree. And I can't stress this enough. The attention to little bits matter. It's part of what has made the world interested in space and rockets again. But it's more than that. It has to look cool. It can't look like shitty blocky text on the screen, right? You don't want to have like a horrible ticker at the bottom of the screen that feels like CNN from 1980. You don't want to have like big blocky things. Everything needs to be sleek. It needs to feel like the future. It needs to feel like an optimistic, amazing future that you want to be a part of. That's what it needs to feel like. But not just the graphics. The entire broadcast needs to feel that way, in my opinion. Cosmic, please no tickers. I know. They make me angry. Dan says, I can't remember what that one award was for. There are just so many. No, I couldn't remember, like, the Emmys have like many categories, and I couldn't remember the category that we had won. So it wasn't like I have too many awards. I legitimately couldn't remember the category. Like, yeah. Owen Sparks says, I'm a freshman, undecided major in college right now. What should I do so that I could do what you do? Well, don't do what I do. I'm doing it. Electrical engineering is a good field if you want to kind of do what I'm doing. Otherwise, if you want to, I'm an engineer first. I also do the production side as needed, but usually there's a crew that's brought in for that. Ultimately, I'm the engineer. So I just move the photons around the universe. That's what I do. And so if you want to do that bit of it, then electrical engineering. If you want to do the production bit of it, then frankly, get out of college, get out of school, and go immediately into live television productions, because they do not care at all what type of school or degree you had. They care only about how good you are at producing whatever it is you're going to produce. And they care about your history of programs and resume and show reel more than anything else. That's what matters to them, if you want to do the production side. But if you want to do the engineering side, definitely stay in school. And that's, I think, some advice that not everyone is told. We're always told, you got to be in school to be successful, and arguably that is not true. It does not hurt, right? Like, school is a great thing that when you complete school, it shows someone on a resume that you're able to complete long programs and do the hard work. At the same time, some fields just don't require it, and it's not super useful. So just know what you want to do and figure out if school is going to help you, or if it's just going to put you laden with debt and hurt you over time and not help you. Anyhow. Wow, great no BS answer. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a pretty straight shooter. I feel like I just tell you the way it is. Hank, has TMRO ever had a person of color on the team? Yeah, absolutely. So we had Jade. Jade was on for quite a while. We also had, I can't remember her name. It's so terrible. She wasn't on for very long. It will come to me. I'm so terrible with names. I'm a horrible human being. I can't remember. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember. But yes, absolutely. We've had people of color. And I'm not talking as guests. I mean as actual hosts helping to run the show. Obviously, we've had plenty of guests. Yeah. Exactly. I don't have time for BS. Oops. T-Town asks, is there anyone else in the studio with me tonight? No, there's not. So, yeah, actually I had other plans for the night. They unfortunately fell through. I was a little bit sad. So I was like, okay, well, I don't have anything to do right now. I don't really, I've been cooped up at home. I don't like being cooped up at home. I like doing things, right? I can't not do things. I have to do something. And so I was like, well, I haven't been to the studio for a while. I know that Jared's doing some stuff. I want to make sure that everything's working for everyone. And so, run system updates, because I know that Mac is always going to want an update. Windows wants an update. Ubuntu a little bit less, but make sure that these systems are all working correctly. And yeah. Ivor, I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. It's 5:20 a.m. there, and bed is calling. Hopefully you get to see me say goodbye to you, but goodbye. Have a great night. I hope you had a fun time. Yeah, Carlos, exactly. After 10 years of working in the TV and film industry, I've yet to be asked where I went to film school. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. They truly don't care. Your sizzle reel is everything. Can you impress people with your visuals? Because ultimately, that's what you have to do. And so, but if you're going to be an engineer, right, if you're going to move photons around the universe, a little bit different. Now, interestingly enough, at a company like SpaceX, arguably, school still doesn't matter. SpaceX cares that you're great. They want you to be the best in the world. And they don't really care if you went to school or not. They care if you're the best in the world. So they don't, it depends on the position and the people who are hiring, obviously. But generally speaking, you just have to be really, really phenomenally great at what you do, and you'll fit in great at SpaceX. You also have to have a tremendous work ethic. Yeah. Maddie says, are you or any of the crew getting an opportunity to get vaccines? Yeah, so I believe with my current role, I'm in Category 1 Bravo, which we're not up to yet. We're still in 1 Alpha for vaccine deployment. Once we hit 1 Bravo, I should be eligible for vaccines and I'll be good. At the same time, due to my role, I have COVID tests, not quite weekly, but it's like once every 2 weeks or so. And then I've also done it's not exactly regular, but I would say it averages out to about once every month or so. Not quite. Maybe it's once every 2 months. Let's see here. It'd be, yeah, it's closer to once every 2 months. Antibody tests as well. So I'm constantly tested for COVID just to make sure, because I am in situations where I'm around other people. And, you know, we have got to wear masks. Like social distancing, got to wear masks. There are barriers. There's constant sanitization of everything. Doors are left open, like a whole nine. But at the same time, like, we don't want people to get sick. So, yep, constantly tested. So I feel safe. I feel fine. But right now, I don't know, like tomorrow doesn't have the resources to do that. So like I keep other people kind of away. And just like, Manju, thank you, Dan. Oh my God. Oh, I feel so guilty. Thank you so much. Yep. So she was with Tomorrow for a short time as well. So yeah, Abby asked, do I play Kerbal Space Program? A little bit. It really comes down to a time problem. So I don't do a lot of gaming just because I simply don't have a lot of time for it. And, you know, the day job takes a lot. And then when I'm done with that, rather than play games, what I would normally do is I go to Disneyland as a way to escape, right? Games are really a great way to like leave reality for a moment and just escape into a fantasy world. And I do the same thing. I just don't do it with games. I go to Disneyland instead, and I get to leave reality, and I do it with a 3D immersive environment, and I really enjoy that. It really helps, because when you have a stressful job, you need a moment to just like not, and that's my moment to just not. Unfortunately, Disneyland is closed, and I understand why, but it has been a little more difficult for me because like I don't have that place to decompress. So yeah. And this is the other thing. KSP uniquely takes 12 hours per sitting. You're not wrong. Like, it takes forever. Dave says, love what you do. Oopsies. Love what you do. I'm amazed at your Tomorrow studio and missing seeing you all. Well, thank you so much. You know, again, Dada made the studio. He did a phenomenal job. Like, this is made out of wood. Can you believe that? This is wood. How crazy is that? He has a brilliant quote that I love. I don't remember the exact, but it's the general gist of it is, we are exceeding the tolerances of wood when talking about the level of detail that he was trying to get in here. Yeah. Wayland Wing says, so Disney, were you a Disney Pass holder, and how do you feel about that program ending and changing? I am more than a Disney Pass holder. I'm a Club 33 member on both coasts. So both Disneyland and Walt Disney World have Club 33 membership. And as a Club 33 member, I still have access to Disneyland. So I am not impacted by the pass closure. Now, I won't have the annual pass, but I can still get in anytime I want when they open. They're obviously not open, so I can't get in. Oh, yes. Yeah, everyone. Yep. Mm-hmm. You're all breaking. Wood. Wood. Wow, that's wood. Yep. Uh-huh. Yep. Not just wood, but MDF. Yes, and the joke is that this studio has MDF permanently embedded in the walls. And so you can never light a match in here or the whole studio will go up. There is so much MDF dust. There are, like we will, when we were updating the outlets for all of the cameras and pulling new cable for it, we pulled out the old ones and there was just this layer of MDF dust inside the junction box. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. 2Live9X, what is your strategy for finding guests for your show without having people look past you because they don't know you? Actually, we had Lisa Stojanovsky for a long time working on that. And the great thing that she would do is she had no fear. She would just go out and ask people to be on the show. And she's like, look, we're Tomorrow. We've been around forever. We're doing really cool things. You know, we've got 50,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. It's going to be a fun thing, and we're here to get people excited about space. And generally speaking, with the exception of Blue Origin, people really respond to that. Now, Blue Origin, on the other hand, says, cool, go away. So we've never gotten anywhere with anyone at Blue Origin. We got close once, and they're like, hang on, let me get you, like, I have to run this past the PR team. So, and as soon as they did that, it was like, nope, F off. It's like, okay, I'm oversimplifying, but like, yeah, I've just come to, I realize we will never have anyone from Blue Origin on the show, which makes me sad because I am excited for what they're doing, but that's just not who they are. That's not how they work. That's not how they function, which is maybe why they're so far behind everyone else. I'll just say it that way. Grumble, grumble, I'm grumpy. Yep. Let's see here. BenLev3 says, can I ask what you think about nuclear saltwater rockets? Do you think they are too risky? I don't have enough information. Like, I don't think I can speak intelligently on that to come to any conclusions, although I am not afraid of the word nuclear. I think nuclear done safely is just fine, and I think that nuclear propulsion in space will be required if we really truly want to open up the cosmos above and beyond just like Mars and kind of our local system. What that looks like, I don't know, but and maybe it is risky. Again, I just don't have the information, but it doesn't scare me. I don't just look at that and go, oh no, we can't. Scary, scary, scary. It's like, no, there's science and data there. Show me the science and data. And if I were to read up on it more, I could give you a better opinion. But at this time, I just don't have one. Huh. Sea Dragon. I assume you're asking if I like Sea Dragon. Hit the button. There we go. I think Sea Dragon's amazing. I would love to see Sea Dragon. I think it's like effectively this crazy, enormous pressure-fed rocket launched from, like, you don't even have a launch platform. The ocean is the launch platform. How nuts is that? And I believe it was actually, as I understand it, it was designed to be quasi-reusable. Also, I learned, I believe this to be true, so was the Saturn V. They were like starting to work on like how they thought they could recover the first stage of a Saturn V. That might be wrong, but I believe it to be true. Like, someone can correct me if I'm full of BS, but like, I'm pretty sure that was correct. Like, obviously they never did it, but like, yeah. Maybe Blue Origin will change with Jeff Bezos focusing more on it. You know, I really hope so. Like, I've said too many snarky things about Blue Origin, I think, at this point to ever have them come on air. But hopefully they'll go on air with someone like Tim Dodd or NASA Spaceflight or someone. I really feel like what they're doing is incredible. And I actually am full bore in favor of their vision of getting thousands of people working in cislunar space. I think that's brilliant. I think that's exactly what we need to do. I think it's very inspiring. I actually think the moon, in the short term, is more important than Mars. This is my personal opinion. Is more important than Mars. And here's why. And this was actually, I'm regurgitating Carrie Ann at this point. When you look up at night, you can very easily and clearly see where the moon is. And you can, if there was someone living on, imagine for a moment, just project with me for a moment, a future where there are humans living and working on the moon. And you walk outside and you look up at the moon. Imagine that emotional connection you'll have when you're looking at the moon and you realize there are humans there, living there, looking back at you maybe. How awesome is that? It will be a profound moment for humanity, I think. Now, do the same thing with Mars. The problem you'll find is that a majority of humans cannot locate Mars in the night sky, right? You can locate the moon very easily. Everyone can locate the moon, assuming it's visible. But can you locate Mars? Now, you astronomers, obviously, you can do it. Like, you can do it, but you're kind of the minority here. And so that same connection, that like emotional draw doesn't exist. Now, that's not to say that Mars is not important. Mars is absolutely important. We absolutely need to do Mars, arguably both at the same time. But I think in the short term, for getting humanity inspired, that's the moon. That's not Mars. What else we got? Oh, yeah. If you guys are interested in Sea Dragon, we brought Vax on, I think, Vax, do you remember, was that tomorrow or was it Space Vidcast Days? It's one of the two. I looked different. Yeah, we brought him on. I was slightly more bearded at the time. I'm turning red. I was one of my favorite all-time episodes because I didn't know anything about it at the time, and he's just going on about this absolutely incredible project and breaking my brain talking about it. I loved that one. I absolutely loved and adored that one. Olivia, these are some of my favorite moments. I remember Tim Dobb tweeting during Demo 1 about how he overheard news agency folks that were there snubbing him because he's just some YouTuber. We had something similar happen. So we kind of got our start by covering the space shuttle, right? The final launches, well, we started before the final launches, but like we covered like STS, I think it was like 119 forward. So like from 119 to 135 or something like that. And we eventually made it out to the launch site. So we went to Kennedy Space Center and we would cover the space shuttle launches live. And it was just Carrie Ann and I, like two kids effectively in their basement. We weren't, but like, there's the analogy. Two kids in their basement streaming, not even on YouTube. YouTube didn't do live streaming at the time. We were on Ustream at the time. And using Flash of all things, because that's all you could really do. And what was really amazing to me was for a little bit there, not at the very end, but like kind of in the late 120s, so like 128, 129, 130, 131 sort of time frame. STS 131, like 128, 129. Or might have been STS 125, somewhere in there. We suddenly became the largest entity at the press site. We were larger than CNN and MSNBC combined. I'm sorry, we were the second largest entity at the press site. We were larger than CNN and MSNBC combined for their entire viewership, right? Yet they all just kind of mocked us. Like the press site, even the Kennedy Space Center didn't really want anything to do with us. They only allowed us there because they were forced to by HQ. And they would relegate us out to like the social tent, be like, go with them. You don't get the cool spots by the cool kids. And we're like, okay, like we want this to be the social event. Like this is about humans. This isn't about, like, it's kind of about the shuttle, but this is about the human interaction. That's what this is really about. And so, same thing, like they mocked us. And I'm like, but I have more viewers than you, than your entire network program. I have more viewers than you. The only entity that was larger than us every time was Fox News. We never beat Fox News, and that always killed me inside. I've never been able to beat them. Now, that's not true. I've never been able to beat them at Tomorrow. I have beaten them in Aerospace, just not at Tomorrow. Vax gave us the episode number. It's 8.14. And if that's the number you see, so that's season 8, episode 14, and that would have been Tomorrow at that point. Oh, oops. William says, agreed that getting inspired is so important. Glad to hear Biden team supporting Artemis. Yeah, I haven't really been paying too much attention because I've been kind of heads down working on some of these updates and whatnot. But hopefully, yeah, we have a continued epic presence in space. I don't see why we wouldn't. Andreas, what do you think about the impact of mega constellations in astronomy? Should they be banned or at least limited? No and no. What should happen, so it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, these mega constellations are happening whether we want them to or not. It doesn't have to be one company or another. China's going to do it. Russia might do it. Like, you're going to have these mega constellations. And you can't stop everyone. So what you should do instead, and where the astronomers are really screwing this up, in my humble opinion, is they should be working with the mega constellations to make sure that they have systems in place to allow them to still see the night sky without screwing everything up. Because there are techniques and ways to mitigate that. And they can give advice and give feedback and help out, as opposed to screaming from the rooftop, you have to stop everything, you're ruining the sky. Internet has become so valuable in humanity that we can't just pretend like people can live without it. Well, those words are too strong. the internet can create an environment that is far greater than an environment in which it doesn't exist. Meaning, your opportunity increases greatly, greatly. Your happiness in life increases greatly if you have access to internet, high-speed internet specifically. And being able to provide that to everyone on the planet is very important. And there are ways to mitigate. And that's all I'll say about that. Obviously, all my personal opinion. Let's see here. Shield, please tell me you have some vodka within arm's reach. Not within arm's reach, but hang on. Let me see. Because we do have a refrigerator. We had some rocket vodka here. Woo. Water. Oh, those are probably no good anymore. There's literally nothing in the refrigerator. There's some... Oh, this room is a mess. How are those fish still alive? They must be feeding... There must be zombie fish. Okay, it's not there. Now you can hear the... Nope, it's not in there. Okay. Apparently we no longer have vodka here. But, you know, again, when I bring back the live shows for realsies, absolutely, vodka is kind of my... it's my spirit of choice. But I also like a good scotch or whiskey. Daniel asks, is this the first time back? I'm not sure since when. It's certainly the first time back since a few surgeries. How are these fish still alive is the best quote of 2021. Well, thank you. I feel like there were some good comments back here. James says, Benjamin is now Jamie. Same watch. It's an Apple Watch. Everyone has an Apple Watch. Yes. Actually, that's where my name comes from. So, started transition April of 2019. When we were trying to determine like a feminization of a name, we were trying to feminize my middle name, which is James. So we were like, okay, Jamie. And I was going to do Jamie. And Carrie Ann's like, don't do the E. I'm like, what do you mean don't do the E? She's like, I don't like it with the E. It's too masculine with the E. I'm like, well, I'm not sure I like it without the E. We hemmed and hawed. We weren't sure if it was going to be Jamie. We were also looking at things like Luna. And I'm like, oh, that's a little too like on point, you know. It doesn't quite feel right. And then she said, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see this. She says, look at your name. And she looked at Benjamin. It's Benjamin. It was right there the whole time in front of us. And I love that. I love that it was right there in front of us the entire time. I absolutely love that. And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, yep, that's it. And I've cursed myself to a life of jammy. That's Starbucks. Is there a jammy? Jamai? Thanks. Jaden says, your voice is so soothing, FYI. I'm about to go to bed and this is perfect. Thank you very much. I don't like my voice yet. And if you go back and just listen to this episode, like, it's kind of feminine, but it's also still wrong. There are moments that aren't right. Certain words aren't quite right. It's just not right. So I'm still working on it, but I'm comfortable enough to be on camera, I think. Here's a great question. Taking into account their scientific valor versus cost, would you focus on CubeSats or big project missions? Oh, CubeSats. I think you can do phenomenal things with CubeSats now. These teeny tiny little like 1U, 2U, 3U, 4U CubeSats, they can do a lot of what these really large satellites used to be able to do. And if they can't, then launch a cajillion of them, and then you might be able to do more than what some of these really large satellites could do. I'm curious if there's a way to effectively rebuild, so to speak, James Webb Space Telescope, but using only CubeSats, and like have like an array of these CubeSats really spread out, far larger than JWST is, combining their elements in kind of like, you know how in radio telescopes you can, you know, the more elements you have, the further spread out, effectively, the larger your antenna ends up being. I realize that that's not quite how that works with optics, but like, do that. I oversimplified it a little bit, but something like that, and maybe it wouldn't work, but like, that would be cool. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, radio telescope in space would be really good. Vax says my voice is fine. It's better when I'm not thinking about it. Yeah, that's fair. Like, it goes back and forth. I need to EFI more. Yeah, anyhow. Yeah, in fact, it's kind of how, it's not the same as like radio telescopes, right? That kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. So I don't even know that it would work in a CubeSat, but wouldn't it be cool? And think about how much easier that would potentially be from a deployment standpoint. And here's the best part. Let's just say some of them fail. Let's say they have a Hubble moment where it's like, uh-oh, it's out of focus. Just launch some more. Right? Just like, they're CubeSats. Yeah. Max says, wait, you go to Starbucks instead of Carrie-Ann's coffee? No, I get Carrie-Ann's coffee too. Absolutely. Yeah, well, I get, like, I go to Starbucks, I go to TMRO. Earlier tonight, I went to a place in Anaheim. I've never been there before. It is called... Whoopsies. Requiem Coffee, Tea, and Fantasy. It was fun. They're going to be far more fun when it's not in COVID and they can actually be open. Hang on, Carrie-Ann texted me. All right. That's where I was going to go, meet some people, but they all backed out. It wasn't great. It was just one. Michael does bring up a good point. No one likes their voice. That's not an exclusive. Yeah, that's fair. Oh yeah, us too. So Vax says, I've been drinking Death Wish coffee since we had them on the show. I think they have really good coffee too. I really like coffee. I do. I think my problem with Starbucks is their coffee's very boring. There's not a lot to it. It's not bad. I always know what I'm going to get. I don't really like sugary drinks. So if I'm going to order a Starbucks drink, it'll probably be just a cold brew with nothing in it. Just straight up cold brew. I'm not actually a huge fan of most of the SpaceX coffee. There is one that I really like. It's their medium roast. And if anyone here is ever in SpaceX and wants to get a coffee, my personal favorite is Las Mujeres. Not because of the name. I legitimately like the taste. And again, it's a medium roast, so it's got, you know, the more you roast your coffee, the less caffeine it has. So a medium roast has kind of like a medium amount of caffeine, which is nice because I need the caffeine sometimes. But it's fun, it's playful. It's a playful coffee on your palate. It has texture, not texture, it has character to it, which the dark roast doesn't. It's just meh, it's dirty. It's very earthy, and it's not great. And their light roast is very acidic-y. Now I usually prefer a light roast because I want the caffeine, right? So I want the lighter roast, I get the lighter. So I get the additional caffeine. I just can't stand SpaceX's light roast. I just really can't. Does SpaceX give free coffee? Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow should do coffee ads. You know, for those who don't know, tomorrow started as Space Vidcast. Oh, someone asked a question, Space Vidcast. So tomorrow, TMRO actually started as Space Vidcast back in Minnesota with Carrie Ann and myself. And that's where we were doing space shuttle launch coverage. So if you want to see the launch coverage, just go to youtube.com/spacevidcast, and you'll be able to see kind of like what we were doing. And actually, Vax got there before I did because I went on a tangent. But we did the show in the back of a coffee shop. And because of that, we had our own blend of called Blastoff Blend. And you could buy Space Vidcast Blastoff Blend by Crow River Coffee. And it was Adam Yoakum who ran, we call his nickname was Caffeinated, CAFN8ED, right? Clever play. And he was the technical director for the show. So Carrie and I would be on camera. Adam would be behind us. We had the whole control room kind of behind us. It looked a little bit more like our control room shot, which I can show you guys if you guys are just showing up. Yeah, it was great coffee, as Vax says. And yeah, he did it was awesome. And it was a really great kind of synergistic thing because he was really passionate about space and loved doing live production. And he's really passionate about coffee. We loved coffee. Carrie Ann helped out at the coffee shop from time to time to kind of pay rent, so to speak. And yeah, it was really great. I then got hired at SpaceX. And so I needed to move to California, and I moved the show with me. Unfortunately, Adam passed away unexpectedly in his sleep a couple years ago now. And that's why we call that planet behind me Planet Calf. It's actually in honor of Adam. We want to get like a caffeine constellation, like a little constellation in the what am I trying to say? The symbol of caffeine. And yeah, I miss him. He was good. Daniel says, bring back Space Mike. Space Mike is a great guy. Like, he's a good person. I have to look at the show as a whole, though. And there were some things that we couldn't get around. And I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I wish him the best. But that won't be something we'll be doing. Hopefully, like, he's got a lot going on in his life, and it's not great. And I hope things get better for him because he really does deserve happiness and greatness. I think he's an incredibly passionate individual. I think he's incredibly smart. But unfortunately, that's just not something that will happen. And I don't want to go into details because I don't think that's fair to anyone. But it's just not going to happen. Heat Shield says, I love the idea of a caffeine constellation. Yeah, Terrence, here's good things about Mike. He got him a job down there and says he's doing well. You know, I have zero doubt that he will just kill it at whatever he does. He is a very hardworking, very passionate individual. He is good people. So, like, again, I have nothing bad to say about Mike, nothing at all. And I cannot go and will not go into detail, but it won't happen. And I will continually repeat this line anytime someone asks. I'm not trying to cover anything up. I'm just trying to be respectful of all parties involved. And, like, it's just not going to happen. Space Mike must have been hired at Blue Origin. Well, if he was, then we wouldn't hear about it now, would we? You're funny. Daniel, I agree. He wasn't just a big part of the show. He brought a level of detail and insight that no one has been able to bring since, right? Like, he saw things in a unique way and connected dots that not everyone was able to connect. And it was really awesome what he was able to do. And that's why I have no doubt, because that isn't just something that he does in aerospace, that's just something he's able to do. And so I have absolutely no doubt, none whatsoever, that he will be wildly successful at whatever he does. And I am sad. I am very sad that he's not here. Like, I really do wish I could bring him back. Meg, well, That's a bit of a personal question. Yes, I am. So it is. There are 2 surgeries left. So I did the face. I did the midsection. So all of this. This wasn't too bad. This was awful. Like this section, body sculpting. Oh, that is intense. I had no idea. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I did body sculpting. Got some hips, which are nice. I've got hair surgery coming in that'll kind of fill in some of these gaps here because I still have like hairline goes back a little bit too far. I think they did pretty good on the face too, right? They really like. I think they did a really good job feminizing. Like nice nose. Like it came together. And then yeah, then the final surgery will be later this year. Gender confirmation surgery, a sexual reassignment surgery. It's and like yeah, and that's why I'm going to be off again for several months. And even after that, I won't be able to sit for this long for a while, like half a year potentially. So I might, like when we come back, we might have standing desks. But you know, it's, you know, I've known this for 25 years and I didn't do anything about it. And so I'm happy that I live in a time where I can do something about it. I'm very happy with the results so far. I'm so much more comfortable with myself. So much more comfortable. Like, I can't even begin to describe it. It's so much better. And so I am hopeful that the shows will be better because of it. Because if I'm more comfortable with me, that will come across on camera, and I'll be able to be more comfortable with you. And I think it's going to be great. But I need a little bit more time. Just legitimately, I need to get through this face surgery, or not the hair surgery, and that's going to be a gross bloody mess for a little bit. I don't need to wait for it all to grow out. You're actually going to be able to watch it grow out effectively on air. Like it's going to get a little bit longer and super awkward for a while. That's fine. I don't mind being awkward on camera. There was a little bit where like I was just going from surgery to surgery to surgery, and I just couldn't, you know? Or where like my voice was just dipping in and out, and it was wrong. And so I needed to take a break. But I'm nearly done. I'm nearly done with the break. Needed just a little bit longer. I was hoping I would be able to come back January of this year. That's not, obviously didn't happen, but it's not too much longer now. We are coming back. Michael says, your happiness makes me happy. Thank you. I cannot describe to you how happy I am. Like everything is so much better. It's so much better. Let's see here. Owen says, one of my favorite SpaceX webcast moments was a landing at Kennedy Space Center and Blue Origin's launch tower was in the background. Was that you were doing? I mean, it would, to be honest, it would, if that happened, that would not have been intentional, although it's hilarious. But yeah, that would never be an intentional thing. In fact, quite the opposite. We intentionally try to like not do that, to like have clear shots. But as I was talking, sometimes you get these tracking cameras and you're coming at them from different angles and you don't want to cross the 180. So you end up getting stuck on a camera. There might be a view that's slightly better, but you'd have to cross the 180. So you stick on the slightly lesser view so you don't create a moment. And so that would also dictate like what's coming back down and like the angle of attack on the vehicle. Destructor 1701, great to see you again. Great to see you too. I was just saying, like, this isn't like, we're coming back. It'll probably be Fridays and not Saturdays, but not just yet. I've got one more surgery coming up February 16th. Then I need a little bit of time to not be a bloody mess because it's going to be gross for a little while. And then I will potentially come back. I'm still trying to decide if I come back until like September, October, where I do my gender confirmation surgery. And then I need to be out for several months. So be like back for a short bit and then gone for, 6 months again. I feel like that might be harmful. Or if I just wait until the end, or if we do something kind of hybrid. I don't know yet. But I am much more comfortable now, much more able to go on camera, maintain voice. Like if you just go back to the last time I was on camera with my AMA, I couldn't maintain the whole time. I've been able to maintain this entire time. This is effectively my speaking voice now. This is my natural voice at this point. It's not really perfect, but it's getting there. Wayland Wings, what do you mean by creating switching camera angles and crossing the 180? Okay, so, you know, I did cover this a little while ago. The short version is if you're looking at a sports arena, right, a 360-degree sports arena, all of the cameras point in one direction. And the reason for that is if you've got someone running from this side of the arena to the other, and you've got a camera pointing this way, you shoot them on this camera, they're moving in this direction. But if you suddenly cut to a camera on the opposite side of the arena, they're going to appear to be running the opposite direction because you've crossed over the 180-degree angle, and now they look like they're going the other way. We have similar issues in rocketry, right? You'll actually notice on the webcasts, most of the cameras are positioned on one side of the rocket, and they don't really cross the 180, so to speak. So if you think of the launch pad like an arena, most of the cameras, now they do kind of dip, we cheat, we go to like 190 degrees sometimes, but usually, with rare exception, they don't cross the 180. There are a handful of exceptions. Launch Complex 39, the fixed service structure, you really don't have a choice, and you have to cross the 180 in order to get the Dragon shots. And you literally are going to the exact opposite side of the vehicle in order to do it. But it's okay because you kind of have a different perspective on that, and so you don't lose, unlike in a sporting arena, you don't really lose your train of like where you're at. You can still kind of tell. So when the rocket launches and you're shooting the cameras this way, all of a sudden the angle of attack gets more severe. And so one camera could show the rocket this direction, while another camera, because of the angle that it's hitting it, could show the rocket like pointing down almost. Or another one could show it going effectively the opposite direction, which is effectively crossing the 180. And we try not to do that. We try not to go from a shot where the rocket looks like it's going this way, and all of a sudden it looks like it's going this way. We also try not to get a shot because the Earth is round, right? So you go like this, so then eventually you're looking at the rocket and it looks like it's going down. We don't like that shot either. So we try not to show shots where it looks like the rocket's going, because it's going with the curvature of the Earth, right? So it looks like it's doing this, but it's actually going around the planet, right? So those are all things that we think about. Sometimes we don't have a choice. We just don't have a choice. But now you know that thought was made in advance prior to going to that camera, and you'll know, oh, they must not have had a choice. Yeah, Destructor 1701 brings up a good point. Breaking the 180 also messes up your spatial awareness in narrative dramas. Directors will negotiate their way around the action of characters to move the audience's awareness, which is a very good point. When you're watching a movie or a sitcom, or well, not a sitcom, but when you're watching some sort of drama sequence, you won't see them generally sliding the camera back and forth. What they'll do is they'll move the camera around the scene to get you where you need to be, or they'll do direct cuts with the other person's back of the head. So when you cross that 180, so you'll always have a mental awareness of where you are. But if you don't do that, they're going to give you some other intermediate shot to not do that. That makes sense? Joe says, who operates the SpaceX tracking cameras? Robots. Robots do. Abby says, Earth is round? That's debatable. Yeah, my joke, I constantly joke in the control room, especially when we bring in a new crew, because we're talking about how the graphic systems work and like all the different computers needed to drive everything for the webcast, because it's a lot. And you don't think about it, right? You're like, oh, that seems pretty easy, but it's like, it's a rack full of computers driving everything. And so I joke, I go, yeah, most of the computers go towards making the flat Earth look round. And the problem is when the rocket launches and we hit the dome, we then have to continue the footage and make it look like we made it through the dome. They all look at me like I'm crazy. I love doing that to them so much. Waylon says, thanks so much for the explanation. Never realized that so much thought went into it. Oh yeah, absolutely. And as I kind of mentioned this to the group earlier, but like, it's not just crossing the 180, but like the colors in the scene, making sure that the blues in the sky match and coordinate, making sure that the greens of the grass all matches and coordinates, making sure there's enough color in the scene. And then like painting the image and shading the image of every live camera to make sure that you got this really great dynamic range. So the rocket is kind of popping and is kind of front and center, but you can still see the other stuff behind there. And I think the best way to describe this is little details that you may not have noticed before, but when you watch a SpaceX launch, this is going to sound crazy, but you can see the sky, right? You can literally see, even if it's a clear day, you will see the blue sky, and it will look blue. And if there are clouds, you will see the clouds. If you watch someone else's launch, you may or may not be able to see the sky. It might just be this gray goo in the background, and it's just this very flat image. We spend a lot of time making sure that you can see the sky. It's not even the rocket. Not even the rocket. We make sure you can see the sky because it makes it look more cinematic. It makes it look more exciting. And interestingly enough, it makes it look more real. Daniel asks if I interact with Elon much. Nope. Interesting fact. So Elon met Benjamin, which is me as male, but he's never met Jamie. He met Benjamin about once a year, every year since I started. So he met me for about 7 or 8 times, and then has never met Jamie. So for the last 2 years, we've never had an opportunity to meet. I have little doubt that that will change soon, and that's going to be really awkward. Or not. He won't care. He won't care. He'll be like, cool. Do great things. That's all he cares about. He'll tell me how I'm failing humanity. Oh, yes. Kenji says it's also the music. You know, it's the music that makes you excited for launch. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot, like, Subtractive does, or not Subtractive, Test Shot Starfish does an amazing job of all of the orbital music that we have. And I think it sets the tone. And there's actually like debate before the webcast as to what songs will be chosen and how, like what music will be used in that particular. And then the really fun thing is we get exclusive first access to a lot of the songs, and we like won't even tell you that's what we're doing. So we'll pre-release music even before it's done being mixed. Wesley, there's a sky? Bad Daddy, did he pay for your bottom surgery? Well, I have not had bottom surgery. And no, I am unfortunately paying for everything out of pocket. Sadly, insurance is fairly useless. I have literally paid for everything out of pocket. Face surgery was 100% out of pocket. Electrolysis, 100% out of pocket. Breast augmentation, body sculpting, 100% out of pocket. Submitted claims for, well, I didn't even do the face surgery because I knew it wasn't going to do, I just knew it wasn't covered. But submitted claims for everything else because it was supposed to be in network. They denied every single claim. Fought them, denied them all. I just gave up. Like, they win. Sure, the Blue Shield of California is terrible. And I mostly expect I'll have to pay for bottom surgery out of pocket as well. Although it's a little bit harder for them to make that claim. Like, they will have a very hard time not covering bottom surgery. Is this music orbity enough? Like, it matters. It matters because, like, sometimes it depends on the time of the launch, and it kind of depends on, like, the general mood and, like, what the ambient noise sounds like. Oh my God, dealing with ambient noise is a pain. Michael, I think Gwen Shotwell. So for those who don't know, Gwen Shotwell is the president of SpaceX. I think, in my opinion, she is the secret sauce that makes SpaceX go. You know, everyone gives their attention to Elon, but Gwen is the magic. Like, she's incredible. Hands down, the best president I've ever worked for. Bar none. Male, female, irrelevant. She's just freakishly good at what she does. And, like, you have to imagine how hard her job is. I can't. Gwen, yes. Kiva says Gwen is the real MVP. Absolutely. The structure 1701, bottom surgery. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to use nice words here. Yeah, so the next surgery is hair transplants. So we pull a strip of hair out from the back. They pluck out all of the individual hairs. They try to get about 3,000 follicles. And then there's a little bit of balding on my crown. So there's not a lot, but they're going to go in and fill in a little bit there. And then they're going to fill in kind of this area here. They're like this area goes back a little bit far. So they're going to pull it forward. They're going to give me a little bit of a widow's peak so that I have kind of a heart shape with my hair. And that is literally a bloody mess. Like when they put it all back in, like everything's gross. And it's the one surgery where like you don't have instant results, right? Like face, pretty instant. You could tell right away. Definitely instant, like could tell right away. There was no like, I wonder. It was like, oh, those are new. This one is they move all of the hair and then all of the hair falls out that they just moved. So it all falls out and then it starts growing again, but it starts growing at the rate that normal hair grows at. So it's going to take a couple years to get it to this length. Now, it's not a couple years to get it to a usable length. It's probably a year and a half, actually. It's probably a good year and a half. So it's going to take a while, but it's fine. I'll be on camera before then. And then, yeah, bottom surgery. That's, so Bad Daddy said I just puked in my mouth a little. Well, let me make this even worse for you. The only way to kill a beard, the only way to really truly kill hair is through electrolysis. You can't really use laser. Laser will damage the hair follicle, but it won't kill it. So if you want a beard gone, like I definitely wanted my beard gone, you have to do electrolysis. There are 3 versions of electrolysis, but they all kind of use effectively the same technique. You have a needle. You put the needle in at the hair, following the hair shaft. You electrocute the hair, and then you rip it out, one at a time. Now, the first method is thermolysis, where they use alternating current. It effectively overheats the hair. I don't actually consider thermolysis electrolysis because electrolysis is a legitimate thing that doesn't occur with thermolysis. Thermolysis overheats the hair. The heat damages the base of the hair to the point that it cannot grow back. You might say to yourself, well, how's that different than laser? Great question. So the next version is called galvanic. Galvanic uses direct current. So you got like a thing on your back and then they put the needle in, but they need to leave. So with thermolysis, the needle's only there for a couple seconds. But with galvanic, the needle is there for minutes, like 2 to 5 minutes per hair. And because of that, they usually do 16 to 32 needles at a time. So you just be covered in needles on your face. And then they electrocute you and then they rip them out one at a time. As you can imagine, that hurts, right? And so what I do is and the third method, just so you know, is called blend. It's a blend of both. It's the AC and DC current, so it's much faster. It's about 10 seconds per hair. You might think it's the best of both worlds, but in my opinion, it ends up being the worst of both worlds. So while it is fast, it's also applying the heat into the skin. And the really bad thing with thermolysis is twofold. 1, its kill rate is the lowest of the 3. And 2, which means that a good chunk of your hair is going to grow back because it didn't kill it. But number 2, and most importantly, it can damage the glue that holds your skin together. And so you can end up with pitting in your skin because you've damaged the skin. Galvanic doesn't do that. Galvanic doesn't use heat, it uses electricity. And so yeah, you're damaging your skin because you're electrocuting yourself. But like, my skin is fine. Like, I'm not pitted. And so it just takes way longer and is way more painful. So, okay, cool. So now I've got bottom surgery coming up. And the thing with men and women is that we all have basically the same bits, right? We all have the same parts. They're just in different places. A few things are different that happened in the womb, but the physical bits that you see, they're basically the same. And so what they're going to do is they're going to move the skin and the nerve endings into a feminine location. You can kind of imagine what that would entail, but they're reusing most of those parts. So because they're reusing most of those parts, and because hair grows down there, oh yeah, you see where this is going, they require permanent hair removal on the bits themselves. And so because there's permanent hair removal, I have to do electrolysis on the bits themselves. until all of that hair is gone prior to surgery. They will be sticking a needle into my bits over every hair and electrocuting my bits for 2 to 5 minutes at a time, ripping the hair out from my bits, and then moving to the next one. Oh yes, that's before my surgery. Oh yes, that starts next month. Yes, that starts next month. I am both looking forward to that and not looking forward to that at the same time. You're welcome. Yeah, that's what happens if you troll. I'm gonna give you the information. I'm not gonna stop for you. Like, that doesn't work here. I'm just gonna keep going. Yep. Whew. Yikes. Yeah. Akiva says, I really appreciate your openness about this stuff. Yeah, actually, some people hate it. Like, some people don't like what I'm doing, and they view this show, they're like, this show is about space. And I think for the people who say that this show is about space and not transgender, I mean, you're partly right. But this show is about humans in space, right? It's not about just the cosmos. It's about humans in the cosmos. And being transgender is being human. And so these are things that other humans find interesting. It's all about the humanity of it. So it's all related in some way because we're all human. That's how it all goes together. And so, yeah, it might not be your shtick. That's fine. Go watch Everyday Astronaut. Go watch NASA Spaceflight. It's fine. But for some of you, it might be. And, like, I'm not going to shy away from it. And frankly, I'm an engineer, and I love data. And so I don't mind sharing the data of what I'm going through because I find it fascinating. And I know a lot of you are engineers too. You are not going to go through what I go through. You are not transgender. That's fine, but you probably still enjoy the data, and you probably still find it fascinating. And some of you may have just learned something tonight. How awesome is that? May not be related to space, but learning is always good. Yeah, Destructor, I think that is something that I've evolved on. Benjamin would say this show is about space, and I very much so tried to keep my personal stuff out of it. And Mike, you're hilarious. Mike, you know I'm a club, hold up, this is brilliant. When Disneyland reopens, I'll invite you to Club 33 as my guest. Mike, you don't need to. I'm a Club 33 member on both coasts. In fact, I might even I usually carry my club cards with me. Anyhow, I appreciate it, though. I would love to meet you at the club. Like, we'll head up to Salon Nouveau. I love getting a Lafite Old Fashioned up there. It's like my favorite drink of all time. One of my favorite drinks of all time. I love meeting people, especially at Disney. Absolutely. Yeah. Terrence, no. Oh, I'm an imposter, not an engineer. Actually, we've been talking a lot about imposter syndrome, both at SpaceX and at home. Like with Carrie Ann, like just like getting through this. And I have these moments too. And part of it comes from live production comes very naturally to me. I don't know why, it just does. Like I see these solutions in my brain and I'm like, oh, no, we just do this, this, and this. And I'm in this room filled with some of the youngest PhDs I've ever seen in my life. And I've just like, and here I am, just whatever this is. And I'm just like, no, you just need to do, huh. And they all go, huh. And I realize that it's something that seemed very simple to me. So it seems very simple to me, and so I don't think anything of it. And so, like, I don't feel like I'm contributing anything because it's so simple. So I didn't have to do anything, right? And so there's kind of that, like, imposter syndrome there because it's like, but it's not hard. And, like, I've been having conversations with Carrie Ann about stuff like this, and it's like, no, like, it is hard for other people. Yeah. Heat Shield said, I don't mind it at all. I stayed up all night watching Jamie drink code and drink vodka and write code. I was writing code. Was I building graphics? Was I building the graphics system for like here or I don't remember. Someone asked, oh, Alex, would I take Company X or Tesla employees to Club 33 as guests? Yeah, sometimes I do. Absolutely. If I find another, here's the way it works with Club 33 and me. If you're a Disney geek and you know what the club is and you're excited about it and you know how incredible it is to be able to make it in, I will bring you in and I will be your host for the entire evening and you will have a magical time with me. And Carrie Ann will probably go too. And we'll sit down. We know all the hosts. They'll come over. They'll have a conversation with us and it will be great. If you don't know what it is, I generally won't bring you in because otherwise it's just like a restaurant. Like there's like neat. It's a restaurant inside of Disney. And I don't think people really understand like the significance of it, but some people do. Yep. Hi, Lisa. How's it going? She asks, how do the changes to annual passes affect me as a Club 33 member? It does not affect me as a Club 33 member. That's the long and short of it. We got a thing that says, yep. Powell says, I was hoping to go to bed an hour ago. I guess I'll have another tea. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to leave this video as listed. I might unlist it because like it's more fun live. It's a little bit weird not live, but I don't know. Neurostream says my girlfriend was born XY. So chromosomes don't matter. Like they do in the womb, but after that, like you don't look at someone and go, oh, they have XY chromosomes. You have no idea what my chromosomes are. You know I was born biologically male, so you can assume, probably correctly, that my chromosomes are XY. But they might not be. I could be XXY. I could be XXXY. I could, in fact, be XX and have a weird abnormality in my birth and still look male. I don't look male right now, but you get the idea. You can't look at someone and determine their chromosomes. You just can't. We didn't have people. We didn't create language around gender and sex for chromosomes 1,000 years ago. Ancient Egyptians didn't look at someone else and go, well, I wonder what their chromosomes are. That's not how this works. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I know that wasn't your intention, but I'm going off on my soapbox anyhow. And so chromosomes don't matter at all. There are two things that do matter. There's biological sex and there's gender, right? I will always be biologically male. That's how this works. Science cannot change that. Internally, I will not have the organs necessary or the reproductive system necessary to create children. I just won't. So we can do womb transplants, but they're few and far between. They're very dangerous, and they've never been done to a transgender woman. Also, I don't want one. So, like, biologically, I'm still male. And I will still have a prostate, and I can get prostate cancer, right? I will not have ovaries. So, that bit does not change. But that's sex. There's gender then as well. And gender is kind of, and it used to be, back when I was much younger, sex and gender fundamentally as a language meant the same thing. But language evolves, and language has kind of evolved for them to mean different things. And gender is our role inside of society. My gender is arguably female at this point, right? I look and sound female. If you saw me on the street and you didn't know me, you wouldn't think, oh, that's a dude, right? Once I'm done with bottom surgery, you really won't know. Like, it will look, it's incredible. If you want to, you can go look it up, although understand it's going to be very graphic, but like, they look real and they function almost in their entirety. Like, all of the questions you're going to have of like, can it do this? The answer is probably yes. The only thing it cannot do is I cannot get pregnant, right? So like, that's the thing that fundamentally matters is gender, because that's how everyone will view me. That's how everyone will know me. They won't even know my sex. They will have no way of knowing my sex. Only the people very close to me will be able to know my sex, and only my doctors will know my sex. And my birth certificate, I suppose. Anyhow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all over the board. Sorry. I'm all over the board talking about space and my transition. And Neostream, like, didn't mean that. It, like, that's just, Neostream hit on a topic of chromosomes because, like, that's fair. That's a fair way to, like mentioning it. But, like, that's something that I'm fairly passionate about right now. So, like, I got on my soapbox. Sorry, NeuroStream. Daniel asks, do I run the video for both Falcon and Starship? It must involve a lot of traveling. It used to involve a lot of traveling. However, the way I've set up the infrastructure is that everything is run out of Hawthorne, including so all launch sites. So Slick 39, Slick 40, LaunchComp LC39, and Slick 4E all come back to Hawthorne, as does Pad A and Pad B down in Boca Chica. That may change. I don't know yet. But right now, everything runs out of effectively my control room in Hawthorne. And so it's very simple. So I can run any launch at any time from there, and we don't need to send anyone anywhere, which is really convenient because, you know, we're only 20 minutes from Hollywood. And so if I want to create a director of photography, a DOP, that is, you know, world-class in coloring movies to color my cameras live, I can, and we sometimes do exactly that. Owen just logged in and must be very confused. I'm so sorry, Owen. I'm so sorry. All right, so people are basically saying that I need to leave it public. No, even if I leave it as unlisted, it's fine. I'll just leave it public, and then people will complain in the comments, and I'll just ignore their complaints. Oh, that's right. I used to do live edits for our patrons, where I would just sit there and like edit these videos, and like you got to see like how long these things took, and like a simple 15-second sequence would take like 30 minutes to an hour sometimes of me just sitting there and tweaking it over and over and over again. I appreciate this comment from Andres saying, I hope everyone stops talking about her body and starts talking about space if she wants to speak about herself, all right, but don't. I don't mind speaking about myself. I'm very open about my transition. As long as you guys are interested and treat the information with treat it with respect, and I realize there are going to be a few trolls. They're just assholes on the internet, right? So we ignore them. Like, we don't let them take down the group as a whole. I don't mind answering questions at all. I'm very open about my entire transition and everything that goes into it, right? So it's transition itself. There's sexuality component of it as well. I'm very open about that also. Where I will close down a little bit is when it starts involving other people. So I will not talk about the other people in this section. I won't talk about Carrie Ann. And if it starts to involve Carrie Ann, I won't mention it unless I talk to her about it first, or I know she's okay talking about it, or she's here to speak up for herself. But anything that's just me, talking like just my impact, no problem. Anything you want to know, I'm an open book. I will, like, I was talking about electrocuting myself earlier in the bits, right? Like, I'll get graphic if you want me to. I don't mind. I think it's interesting. I really do. I think, look, I keep saying this. I'm an engineer, right? So, yeah, I do a lot of electrical engineering throughout the day, but like I'm doing bioengineering here, right? It's all the same thing, just different. Yeah, Abby says, I appreciate your openness. It's helped me gain some confidence in my own transition. Absolutely. Yeah, I can help people. And some other people, like I've got just an absolute jerk on Twitter who's emulating Benjamin, pretending to be Benjamin, tweeting Carrie Ann saying, I miss you, used one of my old profile pictures. It's called The Real Me. Like, what a horrible human being that is. What, like, truly, like, bottom level, horrible human being. And I'm sure he just gets off on it, but like, what an awful human. Huh, DQ's not wrong. Electrical engineering is easier. Absolutely. But I've enjoyed learning so much about like, oh, there are societal differences between men and women too, which are really interesting, and like expectations of simple things like how I stand up, how I sit down, how I sit in a chair, what is appropriate and inappropriate, hand movements, gestures, sentence structure. Let's see here. when I walk into a room in a larger group, like all of these little things that no one thinks about, right? If you're born female, you don't think about these things because they just happen naturally, because that's what you've always done, because you emulated the other women in your life. Because as children, one of the first things we're able to create a distinction on is actually gender, right? And so, and then as children, we emulate the things that we feel like we look like. And little girls feel like they look like women, or at least they feel like they're connected there, and little boys are connected to men, and so one emulates one. Again, I'm using broad strokes. It doesn't always happen, and so we don't consider these things to have happened, but they do. Like, yeah. Anyhow, Mario, it can be about space. Like, ask me some space questions. Absolutely. Like, yeah. I'm talking transition. Like, I'm transitioning from male to female. We're talking about that. Also, I love space. Like, work in the industry, have had this show for over a decade talking about space. Let's talk space. Like, Blue Origin versus Virgin Galactic. Who's gonna send humans to space first? Well, no, I can't ask that because Virgin Galactic. Who's gonna send paying customers to space first? MatterWiz asks a question, effectively an engineering question with regards to SpaceX. So I can't answer questions like this, really. If it's really anything about the rocket or on the rocket, I'm not going to be able to answer it. Oh, that's a good question, Lisa. Which Starship serial number do I think will stick the landing first? I really thought it was going to be SN9, to be honest. I thought we were so close with SN8. We were so close. So close. I thought it was going to be SN9. And I didn't realize it wasn't going to be SN9 until kind of the last second. Like, you could tell. It kind of went, it like straightened itself out, and then it kind of kept going, and you're like, oh, that's not good. I'm hopeful that SN10 is the one. I feel like we're close. Having said that, I'm not actually as in tune with the Starship team as I am with the Falcon team, because just because of the way things are right now. That will change over time, but like, that's how it is. And so I don't actually know what they need to do, so I'm not entirely sure. But I think it's sooner than people think. But I don't know, right? This is why we test. How do I feel about NASA spaceflight and other streams showing views of Starship, especially during launches? This is my personal opinion and not that of anyone else. And it's important to just, like, personal opinion. I'm not a huge fan of them having infrastructure that's kind of in the way of some of my shots. I'm also not a fan of them showing people working without their prior approval. Meaning, you've got workers down there that are being broadcast live, but no one asked their permission to do that. Just in general, I'm not cool with that. Like, doesn't matter if it's NSF or someone else. That's my personal stance on it. Huh. How many times did it take Falcon 9 to stick the landing? Okay, yeah, it's fair. Took a bunch. Took a while. It took a while. It looked like it took a long while. So, who knows? Andres asks, what do you think about low Earth exploration? When are we close to outer space? I'm not sure I totally understand the question. I think we need to get out of low Earth orbit, if that's the question. I actually am a big fan of Blue Origin's cislunar space plan. I think we need to send humans to the moon, living and working on and around the moon in a cislunar area, right? I think that's the next step for humanity. And not like 7 people, but thousands of people living and working on the moon. That's where we need to be next, in my opinion. Mars is on the docket too. I think Mars will be very inspiring. I think it should be worked in conjunction with the moon. I don't feel like it needs to be either or. A lot of the, not all, but a lot of the technology that's used to get us to the moon can also be used to get us to Mars. But yeah, I think that's where we need to be. We've been in low Earth orbit for what, 30 years now? Stuck on space station without ever going past low Earth orbit. We've done low Earth orbit. It's great. Let's move on. We don't have to stop low Earth orbit, but let's move past it. Paula says, there are cameras streaming live from all over the world. We're kind of past it. That's the world we live in, and NASA Spaceflight provides a lot of information. Absolutely. But change the situation a little bit. You're not live streamed at your job to the public. You don't have someone watching everything you're doing and broadcasting it live. That's the difference, is it's being broadcast live. Right? That's just where I have a little bit of an issue with it. Yeah, I don't have, so here, let me be clear. This is a good point too. It's really cool that people can see what's happening at Starship at any time. Absolutely. But with that comes personal privacy concerns. And I have issues with personal privacy concerns. Like, I do think that being able to see Starship is very cool. I really do. But I also think that watching people work without their consent is not cool. And broadcasting it live for the world to see, right? That's it. I mean, that's just my. Oh, Cole. Thank you. I'm sorry about the trolls. I mean, it happens. What do you do? Yeah, Maddie actually brings up a good point. Let's make the moon normal before trying to get to the moon of another system. I think that the moon is a really great testing ground. 3 days there, 3 days back. If something goes wrong, all Apollo 13 style, that's not great, but like, you could potentially still salvage the crew. Mars is a little further out, right? Something goes wrong, that's going to be a bigger problem, potentially. Like, how do you get them back quickly? Can you? So, and I realize the technologies needed are different, but what a great testing ground the moon is. But again, I think you should do them both concurrently. These are all my personal opinions. Pulsar, how is covering Starship different than typical Falcon launches? It's a different vehicle, different location, different expectations. The coverage is very different. Different needs, right? It's not an operational vehicle. It's not operating in that. It's not bringing up payloads at this point in a full operational capacity. So, what you need for this type of article is from a webcasting standpoint, it's very different. Mac asks, can we talk Firefly launch? Was Firefly launching? Did I miss that? Destructor. This is a bad joke and it's funny. Let's cancel the term cislunar. It assumes the moon is cis. That's a funny trans joke. I enjoy that. Ooh. Mario says, and this is an interesting concept, and I think it might be true, any HAB system that can work on the moon will absolutely work on Mars, so long as dust storms are not an issue, I guess. There is a difference between the lunar regolith and the Martian regolith, though. The lunar regolith is very, very sharp and wants to cut through seals, right? I don't know that the Martian regolith is quite the same. Now, that might be an advantage for Mars. To your point, if you can make it work on the moon, it's easier on Mars. But I don't know that to be true. I don't actually know that to be true. That's a good question, though. Yeah. Oh, yeah. John actually brings up another good point. The Martian had some surprisingly technically accurate parts, although some parts were obviously fiction. Yeah, that recovery launch was not. But I mean, you have to take some liberties. Yeah, Vaxisane Martian regolith is not sharp, so theoretically, it would be easier on Mars than on the moon because you wouldn't have something trying to like slice through everything. Yeah, what works on the moon should work on Mars. Maddie says, I think gravity on Mars could cause a challenge for HAPS designed on the moon. I mean, it is more, certainly, but it's less than 1G. So fundamentally, if it works on Earth and the moon, then it will work on Mars. How's that? Oh yeah, Depot Dolphins. Slice open your spacesuit to get to a space station. Yeah. You have to get, like, there are loud moments. It is, the reason movies have suspension of disbelief is because, like, you want to be entertained by the story, right? And so you do need to have a moment of suspension of disbelief. But it was still surprisingly accurate, especially in a world where, like, they suspend reality quite a bit in a lot of those movies. Let's see here. The Core is a great example. I love The Core because of how bad it is. Like, it's so much fun to watch and just, like, laugh at how terrible The Core is. Oh, yeah, that's a great bad movie. Armageddon, that's the one where it's Russian parts, US parts, all made in China. That one, right? Nick, do I think all people need to move? Let's try this again. Do you think all the people going to space need to be scientists when moving from discovery to becoming more multiplanetary? No, not at all. And I don't think we even need to wait that long. We need one of everything in space, right? We need electricians in space, plumbers. We need people fixing the space toilet. We need that now on the space station, especially on the American side, right? Just like someone constantly overwatching the space toilet, making sure it doesn't break. Was it all made in Taiwan? We need artists up there to help inspire people. We need doctors in space. When people get hurt, we need dentists in space. We need one of every. We need. What am I trying to say? Chefs in space, janitors in space. We need all of that. We need that like right away. As soon as you start getting like 100, 200 people, you're going to need to start bringing up these more specialized tasks. And so what we need to do is just start getting a lot of people into space. And as soon as you start to do that, you start to need a lot more types of people into space, which makes it grow even more, which creates this compounding effect. This is why I'm a huge fan of the idea of getting thousands of people living and working in cislunar space. This is pretty funny. I can't get to it. We need politicians in space. Maybe, but they might need to be like outside the airlock with no spacesuit. I joke. Actually, politicians aren't bad. Like, politicians aren't bad. It's funny to joke about, but realistically, like, they're trying to do a job and they're trying to create compromise, and it's really difficult, especially when you're thinking of like how many people they're trying to make happy, and like especially with the wide range of views that everyone has on particular issues. It's an impossible job, and it's easy to joke and say what is fundamentally a terrible joke like what I just said, but at the end of the day, it really truly is an impossible job. There is no winning at it. I wouldn't want to do it. That's where the lawyers... The same thing with the lawyers, though. Anyhow. So there are a lot of SpaceX technical questions. I have to ignore them. Like, I can't answer those questions. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you can ask them. I'm just going to ignore them. Let's see here. Oh, Mario, I'm going to school for civil engineering. My goal is to be one of the first people involved in building Martian settlements. That'll be really freaking sweet. And we're absolutely going to need that. Or lunar settlements. Excuse me. Bruce, you're going to bed, but you loved it. Have a great night. I'm going to have to go to bed soon, too. Have a great night, Bruce. I hope you had fun. Yeah, actually, Destructor 1701, this is a better comment. We need politicians to experience the overview effect. Though some are I don't think it's just politicians that'll be immune to the overview effect. For those who don't know, when you launch to space and you see the Earth is the single cohesive unit without borders, just as the beautiful blue globe that it is, the blue marble, right? It can have a profound impact on you as a human because it just gives you, it could be, as I understand it, it's almost like the universe speaking directly to you and showing you this thing of absolute awe and beauty and grandioseness in its scale. And it can have a very positive impact on people. It's called the overview effect, when you have the overview of the entire planet. And I don't think it's just politicians that need to see it. I think everyone should have the opportunity to experience the overview effect. I think every human on the planet should have an opportunity to see the awe and majesty of planet Earth from space. How incredible would that be? I think a lot of our problems would go away. But to your point, not everyone will be touched in the same way. That's okay. Like, we're all human. We all view things differently. It is what it is. I would argue that politicians are no different than anyone else. Some will be inspired by it, some will not. Would you rather go skiing on Mars? Oh, you're on a big skiing kick, Lisa, aren't you? You started skiing, you got a little bit of skiing in your blood and you can't get enough now. Now you want to go ski at other planets. Mars, right? Because they've got, Mars, because they've got larger hills you can go down. And the mountain on Mars, the really big mountain that's obscenely tall, Olympus Mons, right? That's the really tall one. The thing with that one is it's really, really big, but its grade is really low, right? So you would basically start, but you would never like fall off an edge. You just very slowly go down this giant mountain and it would take forever, but you would just keep going, right? Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be pretty cool. I can see the delay. Everyone's answering. Olympus Mons, yeah. It's rocket science. Did I ever get to meet Bob and Doug personally? Yes, I did. That's not my story to share. But yes, I did. John actually has another really good point. If nothing else, the overview effect shows the fragility of our thin atmosphere. Absolutely. It shows the fragility of life itself, arguably. Life itself and how precious life is. All of it, I think. Having never experienced it, I can say that. Oh, and I'm not sure I have a great response to this. What is my favorite response to people who say, why are we spending money on space when we can't solve our own problems on Earth? I think my general response is, we're not spending money in space. We're spending money here on Earth to solve problems in space that help solve problems here on Earth as well. It really helps to push humanity forward. If we don't look up and we're always looking down, we'll never move forward, right? And we need a way to move forward. We need to look up. We need something to inspire us. And yes, we have plenty of problems here on Earth, but we will always have problems here on Earth. But if we're willing to look up and be inspired and be optimistic, maybe that can help to solve some of those problems here on Earth. Indirectly, sometimes directly. How's that for an answer? Let's see here. Christo says, where is Space Mike? Space Mike is no longer with TMRO. No hard feelings, nothing bad. He won't be coming back. He's moved on. I don't think he's really working too much in space. The problem with space is there's not a lot of... The joke is, what's the fastest way to become a millionaire in space? Start a billionaire. Start as a billionaire. And, you know, there's just not a lot of money in space. And so, he is a very passionate individual, and he's passionate about space, and I do hope he comes back and talks to people even on his own channel about space, but he won't be back on TMRO. Nick says, you know, how do you talk to why spend money in space or on space programs when we have problems here on Earth? And NASA answers this by releasing their science that's been done every year. I think that's a great way to do it too. I think NASA does a lot with the money that they're given. They do an incredible job with the amount of money they're given. A destructor has an interesting answer, which is, how much money do we spend creating problems here on Earth? Let's divert some of that before diverting money from progressive activities like exploration. Yeah, and that's a good point too, is you don't have to divert funds from space exploration. You don't have to, you don't have to divert funds from anything. It's all what we choose to do. We choose how much money we're going to put into space. We could put more into space. We could put less into space. It's a choice that we make. So we choose how far we're going to go every year with how much money we decide that we're willing to invest in space exploration. We could go to the moon by 2024, but we have to choose to give NASA enough money to do it, which we have not chosen to do. We've told them they should do it, but we've not given them the tools to do it. And until we make that hard choice, you know, stuck in low Earth orbit we shall remain. Stuck on this planet we shall remain. In what refers to space exploration, ooh, that didn't work. Here we go, let's try that again. Oh, it did work. Okay. In what refers to space exploration like Mars, do you think, Mars conquer? I don't know if we need to conquer Mars. Do you think it would be a worldwide or any country would lead the conquer? I don't know that there's anything to conquer on Mars. Mars is a dead planet. Mars is a complicated one. It's very difficult. I don't think it will be one entity, but it will probably be one country. And to be blunt, it will probably be the United States. And I say that because the U.S. is putting the money in and other countries are not. It might be China, but they seem to be focused on the moon. And if another country like Australia goes, you know what? We're going to put humans on Mars. This is something we've decided to do. And they put the budget behind it to make it happen. I'll change my tune at that point. But you really have to look at where the numbers are and what countries are spending money where with regards to space. The United States is the clear leader. So they're probably going to be the ones that are putting humans on Mars. How do I feel about the mindset that technological advancements mainly come from advancements in weaponry? I'm not sure that's a mindset. I believe that to be true, is it not? I mean, I believe it to be a statement, not an opinion. So there's nothing to feel there. If that's a true fact that a lot of technological advancements come, think about it this way. A lot of the computer advancements we had came from the Apollo program. Arguably, Apollo itself was not a weapon, but it was kind of. It was part of the race in the Cold War. And so it was part of that same system, in a way, loosely based. And so there is advantage that comes out of that. And I'm not sure there's anything wrong with that. It just is. It just is. I could be wrong too. Like I'm not well enough educated on that. That's just potential opinion. I mean, it's opinion, but like, what do you think about decommissioning of the International Space Station? Good or bad for NASA? Well, hopefully good. Arguably, getting rid of the space shuttle was good for NASA because they needed to get. It took them too long to get to an alternative, but like now they've got. Soon they will have multiple vehicles they can fly to space station on, far safer vehicles that they can fly the station on. And once they get rid of station, what would be better than getting rid of station, I think, is repurposing it. What would be really cool, and I don't know if this is technically possible, what would be really cool is moving it to the moon, getting us out of low Earth orbit and back into deep space again. Now, maybe that's space station or maybe that's gateway. I don't know. But we need to get, ultimately, I'd like it to be on the moon and not orbiting the moon, but I'll take whatever at this point. I'm not going to be picky. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so, yeah, the answer is, so gateway, yeah, I actually think it needs to be on the moon. I think it needs to be lunar bases on the moon, not around the moon. I think gateway is a little bit silly. Just go straight to the moon. But again, like, if that's all they're willing, if they really want the orbiting gateway, cool, whatever. Okay, Destructor 1701 says, who's still on team following the hiatus? Jared, Athena, Jade, Sarah, Carrie Ann, Tim. SpaceX news guys who I'm blanking. You're thinking of Ryan. That's funny. And Minnie Stoge told me on Twitter she won't be a regular anymore. Right. So that has not been determined. So I will be a regular on the live shows when they come back. I've determined that I just need to be on the shows in order to allow that kind of human interaction to occur, right? Otherwise, they turn scripted and like corporate for some reason, and I don't know why, but they just do, and I hate it. And so it needs to remain casual and fun and exciting, just conversational the entire time, right? Not whatever we were doing before was. More old school space vidcast. If I'm to be honest, right? Who will be on it? So the plan is to have one more kind of permanent host. Now that might be a rotating permanent host, but we'll have like maybe a small bucket of like me and then one other like TMRO crew member working the live show, and then 2 guest hosts every week. And it will be just a round table talking about space topics. What's happening. Now those guest hosts, maybe it will be Dave Maston. Maybe it'll be William Pomerantz, like people doing amazing things in space. Or maybe it'll be one of you who just comes on and like your voice is just as important as theirs. And so like having multiple voices on and having a fun and dynamic and energetic roundtable while we're drinking, because I'm going to be drinking, right? I've always wanted this to be, and Lisa will back me up. Every post show we were in after every live show, I would say, I want this to be a bunch of space geeks hanging out, having a beer and having a good time, geeking out about space. I've said that for like ever. And I'm doing everything I can to actually make that happen. This will not be everyone's cup of tea, frankly. Like, not everyone's going to enjoy this format. Some people some people really truly feel space is serious, business should be taken seriously. And okay, that's fine. That's fine. Then they can go to watch NASA's channel. NASA takes space very seriously. Like, they're very good at it too. They have compelling content. So go watch NASA. You don't need to watch us. Go watch Tim Dodd. I mean, he doesn't take, like, he has fun with space, but maybe that's not what they're looking for. But like, yeah. Whew. So yeah. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Life is too short to be too serious. Have some fun. Have some fun and, yeah. It's just, right, and that view is kind of, it's an uptight view. This one's trickier. We're not going to do that on air. Not going to do that on air. Like, it's not legal everywhere, and that's a problem in aerospace. Also, I'm going to limit, like, I'm only drinking one drink on air. We're not trying to get drunk here. We're just trying to have a good time, right? I have to drive when this is all done, so. Dan asks, how's the tattoo removal? Painful. Quite painful. So for those who don't know, I have a tribal dragon tattoo. It starts about here, goes up and over my shoulder, and ends somewhere down here. I will do, let's see here, I'm going to try to not flash everyone too much, but there you go, right? And I recently had another session. It hurts a lot, right? Like, it hurts a lot. But it's actually pretty dark, or I'm sorry, pretty light at this point. Like, it looks darker on camera than it actually is, because I'm very light-skinned. But like, yeah, it's coming along. I probably have 5 or 6 more sessions left, if I were to guess. But I'm every 2 months at this point. I am working on getting this removed. So the problem is, it doesn't account for female clothing. Where it cuts you, female clothing cuts your arms in a different place. And so it looks really funny when I'm wearing women's shirts. And so I'm working on having it removed. Oh, Mario just asked why I'm having it removed. Yeah, I actually really like the tattoo. I'm a little bit sad that I have to have it removed. Well, I don't have to have it removed, but it doesn't look right. Like, if I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt, like, you can see, like, a men's short sleeve shirt would come, men's short sleeve shirt would barely cover it, but now it's like up in here. And so you just end up with like this weird, like, lines that don't make any sense. And then like, it cuts the bra funny. So like, it's just weird. It's just weird. So it needs to go away. I might get a new tattoo afterwards, but I gotta tell you, the tattoo removal process is so freaking painful that I don't know that I want to go through that again. I really don't. Oops, sorry. FPV Reviews says, can we talk about what's happening in aerospace? Yeah, we have been talking about what's happening in aerospace. Talk about all the things. Although I'm probably going to call it a night soon. It's 10 o'clock here, and I've been on the air for a while. Daniel says, hope you've been happy with how this chat's gone. You've been brave, but it's been a good reboot. I don't think I've been brave. I've just been on camera. I'm comfortable with myself. I'm a lot more comfortable with myself now. I think you can see and hear it. I smile a lot more, right? Maddie says, I want to go to bed, so you should go to bed. That's funny. I'm just being me, and I don't view being me as being brave. I just have thick skin. From the trolls, right? I've dealt with trolls for a very long time. And so, like, I don't care. Like, yeah. All right, good night, Stoge. Good night, everyone. I think we're calling it a night. Hang on, let me finish up in the other room. So, here we go. Woo. We'll finish up in the control room because it's a little less awkward. Let's see here. Boop. You have to say boop or it doesn't work. So yeah. I hope you guys had a good night. Hope you guys had fun. I know there was a lot of transition talk, which I know also realize a lot of people don't like, but as I kind of mentioned earlier, it's all about being human, and I'm the one who started the show, and so since I'm such a large section of the DNA of the show, like, it's just going to come up, and I find it to be interesting, and I try not to overwhelm everyone with it, but hopefully we talked enough space too, and you got to see a little bit of the studio, right? You got to see kind of behind the scenes how some of these things work. You can see that I still have a little bit of work to do with regards to this Macintosh, which is, I got so caught up in talking to you guys, I forgot to finish all my updates. God, how dare you? All right, what is this? All right. See if I did that right. You get to watch me do the second computer. No, I don't want to use two-factor authentication on this one either. Thanks. Don't upgrade. Thanks. Ugh. Ugh. No, I don't need Siri. Go away. Ooh. There we go. Ta-da. It's up to date. Huzzah. Ugh. Go away. Ugh. There's Zoom. All right, we'll make Zoom go away here. Bloop, 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 bloop. All right, what window is that in? And then we'll make, we don't need TrueConf either. We'll make you go away. We'll make you go away. And there you go. I'll show you my multi-view here. That's shifted over here, I think. All right, so there you go. You got 2 Macs. They're all the way up to date now. Let me get rid of that prompt on this Mac, because it's annoying. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, wait. Do you both have... Ugh. I was so close. Yeah, great. Thanks for prompting me. What do I have? GarageBand. No one cares about GarageBand. I don't care about GarageBand. Sweet. What's kind of cool, if you look at that multi-view, like directly below me, you can see I've got AirPlay. I'm sorry, Apple TV, which allows me to AirPlay from like my phone and whatnot. But we also have an ISS above. So if I want to bring that to air, oh, it's funny that it's on that image. Like I can totally do, I don't know why it's saying undefined IP address. It's totally on our network. It's wired into our network. But like, yeah, I can totally do that. And then like, just to show you like, now this one needs a reboot. To be fair, like I was downloading those updates like kind of in the background. But now you've seen like, you've seen the Mac, you've seen the PCs. You're like, I'm format agnostic. I will use whatever works. So let's just restart now, which will kill all of my on-screen banners. Okay, let's see how the Casper system is doing. So the Casper system, which is here, is currently just a giant clock, which ends up being in one of my multi-views. It's this one. So that allows me to actually see like what time it is. Actually, you can see it a little bit easier, I think, from this one. It's actually sitting right here. So it's the current time, so that when I'm doing something like one of the planetary shows or we're doing a Yuri's Night, which are all very time dependent, I actually have a nice large clock kind of right in front of me the entire time. And then the other thing that this one has, there are 2 TVs that can go in the studio, and that's this lower section here and here is what would be on those 2 TVs. And I didn't have them set up, but they're rolled off to the side. So if we like when we bring back the live shows, we can have one guest on one, another guest on another, and like 2 hosts out there if we wanted to do that. Or like a graphic on one, or we can do tons of things. We have many, many options. Now this just recently updated. Let me just see. Oh. Restart now. Okay, this is going to nuke. It's going to nuke a couple things. Oh, I forgot to turn on the sounds. That's too bad. Let's see if they work. Hang on, let's see here. Oh, they're not working, so it doesn't matter. I have like bridge noises, like Starship bridge noises that I enjoy bringing up on air when I'm out on the deck, on the thingy. All right, let me go back to the chat room, see what you guys are saying. I can't bring it up on screen anymore because I have, let's see here, where are we at here? This is the social computer. So there's the social computer. And then here is the other system that I can use as a backup. Oh, it just went there. Let's see if it comes back up. There you go. Windows. This one's still going. Yep. I've got a soundboard for the soundboard and screens for screens. Well, yes, I have a soundboard for a soundboard. and screens. Yes. Yes, I do. That's. I also have a switcher for a switcher, and a keyboard for a keyboard, and a mouse for a mouse. Destructor 1701, super important transition question. Am I still a princess? No, now I'm an empress. I'm the empress of photons. Thank you for asking. Oh, Willy Wonka joke. I got it. The blueberries taste like blueberries. The snozberries taste like snozberries. That one? Abby Page says, tomorrow studio tour when? Actually, we've done a couple tomorrow studio tours. I might do a refreshed one as Jamie as opposed to Benjamin. Soon-ish. But like, yeah, you can go back in our archives and I think you can see one. You might be able to go to Jamie's Bits and see one there. What soundboard is this? This is a Behringer X32 Compact with a Dante option card. And then for the microphones, we run Axient? Yeah, Axient, Shure Axient microphones. They look like this. So this is the bass pack. This is an 81, not that you can see it. And I've got 4 channels of that. That all runs Dante directly into the board. This is where I do my compression and limiting directly on the board. And then, how do I get this into the switcher? Oh, I have a Dante Avio dongle that takes Dante and then converts it to analog, which plugs directly into the switcher, which embeds the audio into the primary SDI stream. Ugh, I gotta do this stupid finish setup, which means now that I have to do this, Windows is forcing me into Microsoft Edge. Thanks. Gotta love Microsoft. Keep my existing settings. Stupid. Grumble, grumble, grumble. If I wanted Edge, I would have used it. Like, the speakers. Those are speakers. I don't remember. I want to say they're JBLs. Oh, that's not a JBL symbol. Hang on. They're Yamaha. H something 5. Hang on. I need a flashlight. It's too dark in here. HS5. Yamaha HS5s in the white model. Oh, now I gotta go back here. No, I don't want to do that. Thanks. And now we got to run Windows Update again because it's been a while. It's been a long while. That one's still going. See, I thought I was going to be done, but I spent so much time talking to you guys, I forgot to actually do what I came here to do. Thanks. It was a fun conversation, though. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. But now I do have to actually, like, do this. Hello, Isaac. Dan says, I see you using the table that used to be the center of the set to support the switcher. Yeah, absolutely. I reuse as much stuff as I can. It doesn't really fit out there anymore. It was really designed for 2 people, and then we kind of expanded the show. You know, I don't mind giving Edge a chance, but they crammed it down my throat, which is what I don't like about it. Like, that's not okay. Like, let me choose. Oh, and you have a magical night as well. Thank you, Maddie. It was good being out on set again. It was good being on camera. Okay, hang on. Be right back. Which one is that? That one's the social computer. Stupid. I gotta remember which one that is. Yeah. That's that one, I think. Well, we're about to find out. Did I get the wrong one? Yep, cool. Well, I guessed wrong. Actually, a little bit amazed that this one has that many SDI ports coming out. Oh, let me show you guys a fun hack I have. I'll wait for those to reboot. Check this out. This is me being clever, but I never quite got there. So, we do everything in 4K, so all these computers are coming in 4K, but we're fundamentally broadcasting in HD. So, yeah. So here's this. See how it says quad 1, 2, 3, and 4? And it's actually all part of this same computer right here. Now I can adjust which computer it's pulling from. So you see in the top right, or kind of above it, you see there's TD computer, TD comp, and then it cuts it into 4 individual quadrants. Well, the reason that's interesting and useful is I'm working on getting software from TrueConf that will break my participants into a perfect quad screen where it cuts them into the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right, and won't move them around, even if someone joins or disappears. And when you do that, then what I'll be able to do is go, you know what, I want to go to this quadrant, which will be person 1, or I want to go to, oh, well, I don't have the rest of the quadrants on here, apparently. Oh, I do, but I screwed it up. Okay, we're going to fix that real quick, because that's annoying. Button mapping. Oh. Sorry, I'm doing things you can't see. Okay, so now there's quadrant 1, and that would be person 1, and then I could cut to person 2 if I wanted to, and then if person 3 was down here, I could cut to person 3. But it would all be coming off of this one computer. It doesn't have to be the TD computer. That's just what I'm doing as a test. That was... won't the default Windows 10 quadding work if you use multiple windows? Kind of, not really. So the problem with doing that, so I do that right now. I use that in Macintosh, right? So that's how I do it. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. You can't really tell, but there's, right? So forth and so on, right? You can see me doing it on Macintosh. It's 3 different screens on the same Mac. But now I have to drive all of those pixels out of the computer. That's a lot of pixels to drive. So instead of doing that, if I can just do one 4K display, like, I'm set and done, right? Okay, Casper computer's back up. I should check on that. See if it still needs updates, because it does. Yeah, cool. Because I screwed up my updates. Yeah. You can't see what I'm doing. Let's see here. Where's that? That is... Oh, I think I broke it. Oh, no, it's right here. So now I'm running updates on this system, and we're repairing this system. Yay! How much fun, right? So there we go. Those are installing. So you get me for a little while longer as I actually do work. Yeah, live Windows updates. Who knew watching live Windows updates could be such thrilling streaming content? Yeah, I know. Oh man, let's see here. Where's the... Ugh. This computer, this one gives me tons of problems. It's given me problems for forever. Like, it will just be like, I need to repair, but it's fine. It's just fine. And then it's like, I'm attempting repairs, and if I just reboot enough, it'll come back up just fine. It's annoying. You know, frankly, they've got Casper on Ubuntu now. I think I could just move this system over. That would potentially get rid of that problem. Although it's a little bit of a bigger pain in the butt to actually, like, get that working. Yeah, live on the internet. Jamie's breaking tomorrow. Yeah, after every Windows update, it's like, oh, Windows is broken. It needs repair. Okay, let's fix this multi-view, because if you see, let's see here, multi-A. I can see cameras 2, 3, and technical director. That's this position, the TD technical director. But I can't see camera 1. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to go to my multi-view settings, and instead of green room, I want to see camera 1. That's awesome. And we're going to save that as a startup state. Boop. Awesome. So we're set there. So 1, 2, and I think 3 is just looking out there. And then 4. Fantastic. Have I ever used Linux? Yeah, I just mentioned Ubuntu. Yes. Well, in fact, we use it here in the studio for some, and we use Linux, and we also have a, the ISS above is a Raspberry Pi with an undefined IP address. Yes, I have connected to my LAN. Thank you for asking. I've also used Debian. Destructor 1701, is data still involved? I don't know yet. I haven't asked anyone back yet. I'm not sure what that. I don't know what the shows are going to look like just yet. Like who all will be involved just yet. But I am taking a fresh look at the entire, the whole everyone, cast and crew from top to bottom, just to make sure that when we do come back, what we're bringing back is absolutely great, right? We couldn't complete the updates. Undoing changes. Don't turn off your computer. Thanks, Windows. Have I ever spoken to the International Space Station? Let me think about that question for a second, because I want to say the answer is no, but I'm not entirely sure the answer is no. I think I have not directly spoken to Space Station. I've spoken to Johnson Space Center, and I've started the broadcast with Station, but I myself didn't actually speak to Station. What is that? That's the Casper system? No, that's the social system. Continue. Cancel. Thanks. And now we get to run updates again. This is what happens when you don't come forever. Oh, sorry, here you get to watch me run updates. They actually have different colored backgrounds, so I can see, oh, hey, that actually says I'm up to date. So this has a purple background so that I know that I'm on the social system. And then this one has a black background so I know that I'm on the system I shouldn't be going on. Oh, and actually, I feel like, hang on. And this might just be, it might just be the upscaler. Can I not right click? Apparently I can't right click. Okay. Let's try this again. Good night, Maddie. Well, it does not want to allow VNC back in, so that's fun. You know what? I just realized I am, in fact, missing that update on the Casper system. So if I come back over here, I'm running these updates, but I'm not actually running this update. This update. I hate everything about you. Ugh. Can I see what's new in the update? All right. So I can do that, but I can't actually run it. Do I have to wait for this to finish? Probably. Okay, this finally did its thing. It's all messed up, so that's fun. Let's see if we can get back over there. Let's close this out. Okay, let's go back to this screen. Okay. My computer's very upset with me. Okay, back to social. Okay, close out of all this. This can go away. Ooh. I don't know. Ooh. All right. Pending install. Getting things ready. All right. No, I don't want you for now. You're contemplating life. That's fine. Woo! Isn't this exciting, watching me install updates? Clicks does nothing. 2021 technology. It pretty much explains why we aren't back on the moon. Ugh. Oh, so the question is, do we stream on Twitch? Sorry, I can't do the system. We used to. We used to stream on Twitch. We would do Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And what I found, what I thought was that what this would do is broaden our viewer base, right? Because no matter where you're coming from, you'd be able to find the show. But what it actually did was fragmented the show. So instead of having 1,000 people on YouTube watching, people just watched on their favorite platform. And so we would have 250 on Facebook, 250 on YouTube, 250 on Twitter, 200, so forth and so on, right? And so that meant that the strength of the show was weakened on all platforms. So instead of having one large presence somewhere on like YouTube, we had 4 or 5 small presences on all of the platforms. And so the algorithms never looked at us and said, oh, this is something people are interested in. Instead, it looked at us and said, oh, they're not getting very many viewers. And so what we did instead was we said, okay, no more of this. And now we focus exclusively on YouTube. That helped a lot. Since we started doing that, we've more than doubled our subscriber base. It was, to be fair, it was a lot of things that we changed, splitting out space news, but that was one of the major changes. As I was looking at the analytics and looking at like how these algorithms kind of run, I realized that this just isn't working. And so we don't broadcast anywhere but YouTube anymore. Also made the chat very complicated. It was a fractured chat. People who chatted on Twitch could not see what people on YouTube were saying, and people on YouTube couldn't see what Facebook was saying, so forth and so on. But we could see everything here in the control room. So it was these weird side conversations were happening that were completely independent from each other, and people were missing out. And so instead of doing that, it's just YouTube. It's just much easier for everyone that way. James, is space weather still going to be a part of this channel? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're coordinating that. It's usually with with news. So I think, I think they're coordinating that. Like, we've been kind of dropping the ball on news a little bit, just because of personal life stuff, like end of the year personal life stuff. But hopefully we'll be back together on that shortly. I should probably ping Carrie and let her know I'm okay. Okay. Even the updates are confused by the transgender PC. They're like, ugh, all of them. Let's see, how are we doing? So this one is stuck. That one's stuck at 45% and won't do anything. I'm tempted to, I feel like what I really need to do here is close this window, because I feel like maybe the window's not updating. We'll just give it a moment to figure out life. Mario said space weather is the reason you subscribe. That's awesome. I get a lot of flack for space weather. People are like, I don't understand why this is in the space news program. I'm like, how do you not understand why we have space weather? It's like super important to anything we're going to do in space. You have to know this stuff. This is literally the future. Like, if you want to live and work in space, you worry about the weather you have on planet in the area you're in right now. There's an app for that. Why would you not be worried about weather in space? Yeah, the people. Yeah, I see. It's just struggling. Yeah, well, let's see how. So this system's doing a little bit better, right? So, sorry that's so fuzzy, but yeah, I'm not going to stay here for all of this, because this is going to take a minute to download. not gonna lie, the Macs were way easier. Don't get me wrong. Like, it took a hot minute for them to update, but like they did all of their updates all at once. I didn't have to do this 5 different times. They said, cool, you have 90 updates, which is fine. I did. I had a billion different updates because they were woefully out of date. And they're like, cool, we'll just bring you all the way up. And they did, and it was done, and it was great. This is crazy. It's, well, this one's moving a little faster now, so at least it's like downloading 15%. So, how much compute virtualization can we get away with in the studio? It's kind of, or is it important that each component is physical? It's a little bit important that each component is physical because we need the physical output to go into the switcher, right? So it's not virtualized. It's literally taking an SDI output from a physical card in a physical server and running it that way. Now, some of these boxes, like this one that's having problems, have multiple SDI cards in it. So it requires a beefier GPU, and it's just driving a whole bunch of things out the ports. And then we're actually taking the HDMI output in as well and converting it to SDI before we drop it into the switcher itself. So it does kind of require physical compute. If we were talking about video encoding, like if we were encoding for the web, that could be virtualized. Like I don't need physical. I don't need a physical machine for that. Still not required. Am I connected by Wi-Fi or Ethernet? Almost everything in the studio is connected by Ethernet. Very few devices. Like my iPhone's connected by Wi-Fi, but like that's about it. Rick says, boo Mac. Okay, you can boo Mac all day long, but like those are the systems that are up and running. It's the Windows boxes that we're struggling with here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Macintoshes. I've got 1, 2 Windows 10 boxes. I've got 1, 2 Ubuntu boxes. Ubuntu, up to date, no problem. Really fast and really easy. Mac OS, up to date, no problem. Really fast, really easy. And I'm talking like months and months of updates, if not like a year, right? This was updated like beginning of 2020 sort of thing. Windows 10, Wesley says, Ethernet's always nice, but sometimes my switch decides it doesn't like for a second, and that's never fun. Yeah, we have, I almost said Arista switches. No, we have Ubiquiti switches here. So we're mostly Ubiquiti gear. Yeah, that's the other, so Alex, that's a good point. Like, I have more problems with my Windows laptop for work and my Windows PC on my desk than I do my old Mac still chugging along. Look, you love it or hate it, Macs just work. Like, here you go. Look at all of these working Macintosh screens. It's hard to tell that they're all different. Versus like that still trying, I suppose technically it's working. And like that's still trying to even just load the update screen. Right? Just trying to load, so like, hang on, let's do a, wait, why does one have the night vision thing on? What the? Everything is crumble. Oh, now we're finally, okay, we're installing over here. So yay, that's good. That's good. Is that a music sequencer? Are you saying here? When you say, is that a music sequencer on the left, what do you mean? The left of where? On one of the screens? So, no, I can answer that. No, I don't have any music sequencers. This is a Behringer X32 compact audio mixer. This is what's doing the primary audio mixing for the show. We cheat generally and just use the mute groups whenever possible. So, hear me. I hit it again, and now you can hear me again. And then this is the primary video switcher. So this is what lets me choose like what different source I want to go to. It's a Blackmagic Constellation, so it's a 4 mix effects switcher, but we don't have that giant 4 mix effects console here. There's no need for it. So this is the 2 mix effects console. So there are actually 2 more mix effects buses I can get to. You can't really see that. To do additional things. And the mix effects buses can be used to do things like send effects to the screens. So if I want to do switches on the screens, or if I want to pre-create a special effect and then jump to it, I can use a mix effects bus for that. But generally, you work right down here. And then this is where the laptop goes, or the comm system, which you can't see right now. And there's actually a producer's console directly behind me. There's a desk behind me. That's the green room. Like there, you can see right there that little orange bit. That's the orange couch in the green room. Yeah, I like this too. And it's really nice because I can sit here and I can kind of like feel my way over, right? So like I can just kind of like do this work and then kind of punch whatever I need to over here. Fun. So this is a Pandora bracelet. I never wear this when directing because it hits the console and it drives me bonkers. The shrimp, the fish, you mean, are the shrimp dead yet? Colton asks. No. Let's see here. I think I'm at a point where I'm just going to let these updates run in the background and I'll deal with them later. Because, like, this is just crazy, right? This is still only 9%. It's so boring. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've hit the end. So. Oh, NeuroStream. I'm amazed you can run all of this from your iPad during live episodes. Well, I mean, kind of. Like, I don't really run this console or this from the iPad. What I'm fundamentally doing is running the chat room. And you kind of saw, like here, even when we're live, like I can see is talent, because you can kind of see the chair in the lower right-hand corner. You know, talent sitting on set. We've got access to the live chat room, which is quite large and ready to go. And I've also got access to the multi-view, so I can see, you know, I can see what's in the chat and stage. I can see what's on program. And then you can kind of see as I switch these feeds, you see that box in the kind of upper left-hand corner switching. That's telling the talent what I'm about to go to. And so you have a lot of information that's sitting out on set that you have access to. And there's usually someone in this room. For something like today where I was just interacting with everyone, not so much, but like, you get the idea. Yep, I've reached the end of patience with Windows. So on that note, I think I'm going to call it a night. I hope everyone had a really fun time, and hopefully we'll be able to do something again soon-ish, right? All right. Have a magical evening, everyone. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to bringing live shows back to everyone.